Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode on Raw Generates podcast and YouTube. We're here with Russell Reed, and this dude is blowing up Instagram in a positive way. You've got influencers nowadays that will just push any product, push protein, this, that, and the other. And Russ is here just like I see him daily just posting, this is what your eyes should look like. If you have this is this weakness, this is this strength. I'm going to put some pictures here of what Russell shares. And what I love about this opportunity to talk with Russell here today is the importance of true healing. And guys, just like everything else I echo, and everything else I teach to you all and people that have been following me for a while is healing is simple. And Russell, just like myself, two Dr. Morse students, we get the the foundation of healing. And Russell's got an amazing personal story of going from pretty much not being able to eat, hold down food, and how fruits have healed him. And he's now reading people's eyes, doing consultations like myself to reach that there's too many people to help. Even if we were inundated every minute of every day, there is literally not enough. There's not enough time. So, guys, I hope this video can reach you all. You can see the importance of what you can see in your eyes and hear Russell's story here. And welcome, bro. Pleasure to have you. And I just another young bloke, another young dude keeping the truth moving because Dr. Morse won't be alive forever. And then next thing, and then if people misinterpret it, it's like, no, we can't have that. Like, so man, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to come on here. I saw your interview with Dr. Morse. I thought that was wonderful, amazing, and yeah, it's just the simplicity of health and truth and nature. It's just right there for us. And we reach out and grab other things, protein powders, B12, all these supplements. We don't
Yeah.
need them. You just need the simplicity of nature, and you can heal from anything.
Yeah. Beautiful. And for you, Russell, what give the my audience loves listening to real long conversations. So give us the detailed nitty gritty of your past. How do you find Dr. Morse? Were you inundated with old concepts that you had to drop around protein and all of this? Because what you share now, I imagine, is not where you originated like most of us. We had to have an awakening of some description. So the physical, the non-physical, all of that for you, how was that? And how did you come to where you are now?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to talk about that because I was a totally different person for most of my life. I was a kid who was smoking weed and drinking alcohol and doing whatever my friends were doing from ages 13 to 19. Like, I never really liked school because I never agreed with the whole
Same.
authority concept, and I just kind of coasted. I don't even know how I graduated high school. I missed so many days of school my senior year that like I barely graduated, but I didn't care because I knew that it was an indoctrination camp at that point. I had always been a truth seeker. I had always cared about the truth, and I
Mm,
knew that this was not, we were not meant to be little worker bees that are drones and just complete, no difference in between us. We are unique individuals, and we all have something unique to share. So when I was in school, I did not feel like I was learning anything. I didn't feel like it was helpful to me. I felt like I was learning more on my own, and I was really just like a total stoner kid, not interested in like health or healing, anything like that. I was eating a standard American diet. Every day I would have Wendy's. I'd go to lunch, have Wendy's, drink with my friends all the time. Too many drinks, too much fast food. And my family that I grew up in, I love them so much, but we did have a lot of meat and we had a lot of dairy. It was like our family thing was to dip cake, like have chocolate cake in a bowl of milk. And that was like a good dessert. And so, yeah, so much dairy, so
totally.
many eggs and just like what most people do. And I was just like going out to parties and going to concerts. And then I got into the University of Arizona, which was basically a party school. And so I came out here and I started partying even harder, to the point where it was real bad. Like I had a problem with drinking because, as you know, like alcohol, that's spirits. You know, you're
Mm.
inviting things in when you drink alcohol, and it definitely lowers your vibration.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I would just do it to fit in. I would do it because I I I'm normally and naturally a very quiet and introverted person for the most part, and so I don't like going out and being around a bunch of people, but I wanted to be cool like everyone else, and that kind of started when I was, 13 or something. I wanted to be cool like my friends. So,
Mm.
started drinking it really heavily in college, and had like a bunch of falls, falling down the stairs, cracking open my chin, like even my
Jeez.
my mom had to come out. I was 17 when I went into my first year of college, and so I was young for my age, and one night I had drank so much that I had ended up passed out on the street and taken to the hospital. And so my mom had to fly from Colorado to Arizona overnight to get me out of the pediatric ward of the hospital because I couldn't check myself out. I wasn't an adult. So yeah, that was
Jeez.
like a low point. Definitely at some point in all of that, maybe 2023, I just had a full awakening. Like I was already into conspiracy research and that kind of stuff. And,
Mm.
my whole life I'd kind of been questioning in that way, but I really dove deep into it, and something just made me stop drinking alcohol. So I stopped
Yeah.
drinking alcohol, and that was like the catalyst of everything. From that point on, it was just like waking up, losing all the falsehoods. And so I started researching into like who controls the world and that kind of more
Mm.
interesting conspiracy research topics. And it somehow brought me to health. And that health thing that I found was vegan documentaries, breaking down why you don't need
Mm.
animal protein, why it's like horrific what's done to these animals. And so I started to realize like that veil was lifted from my eyes. I'm eating a cow, and like a cow is a friend, and a chicken is like, why was I so blind to the fact that these things were right on my plate and just thinking, oh, that's just a piece of meat, man. That's just a wing. That's just a
Mm.
steak. But no, that's an animal with a life that you would love to play with that animal if it was right
Mhm.
in front of you. Most people
Mhm.
are not psychopathic where they want to actually, kill animals. That is not something that human beings naturally do. So I came into the vegan understanding, and I just went along with that. Went vegan, kind of junk food vegan, having vegan donuts.
Yeah.
Then got
Same.
more into the raw, started to understand the raw vegan people, and no other animal cooks their food, that kind of old natural hygienist type of thinking, little bit
Mm.
of fruitarian thinking in there. But about, 2 years, maybe 2.5 years ago, I was like vegan, where I'd have a lot of raw vegan meals, but then, go out with the family when I met with them and have a cooked vegan meal, and, maybe a good amount of fruits, but
Mm.
not high fruit. And
Mm.
so I just slowly started to raise my vibration. And as I did that, the nicotine that I was doing, I just stopped wanting to do that. The weed that I was doing, I just stopped wanting to do that. And I had already stopped the alcohol quite a while before that. So now I was just kind of at this level where I was feeling good all the time, and anything that I would do, like weed or anything like that, would just bring me down. So I had raised my vibrational frequency up to the point where bringing it down was something that happened with drugs. Before, it'd be like, oh, I'll smoke weed and be happy. Or even before that, it's like, oh, I'll drink and be happy. But you reach a certain point where you drink and you feel worse. And then you reach a certain point where you smoke and you feel worse. So I just kind of started awakening in that way, and moving inwardly, and realizing I don't need anything external to stimulate me. I have plenty of energy as is. I can be happy. I can enjoy myself. I can sit down and watch shows and go to sleep on my own time. I don't need these crutches to help me go to
Mm.
sleep or to help me enjoy life. And so that was really where the shift happened. And actually a weird thing happened where right before I stopped drinking and stopped eating meat, I had gone to my mom, who's awesome. She took me to a sound healing, and this
No
sound
way.
healer was very, very in tune, and she was talking to me about my dreams. And apparently I was having dreams about red and white snakes. And she's like, oh, you're having a Kundalini awakening. You might in the next year eat a little bit less red meat. And then 3 months later, I forgot about it, but I was completely vegan 3 months later. And so like she knew what she was talking about. And that was
On
like,
point.
totally on point. And yeah, it was amazing. From there, I found I was really into the raw vegan, and I was fully raw because it's the only thing that made sense to me. And then the fruits that I found Dr. Morse through like an Instagram video, and I just went down the rabbit hole. Started watching all of his Q&As, started, researching got his books, the Detox Miracle Source book. I got that. I was watching everything out there. And so now I'm like maybe 1,000 hours into his videos, trying to, I'm making my way through the Q&As and trying
Yeah.
to do all of them. And went to his school, did level 1, did level 2, did iridology, doing herbology now and
Yeah, same.
reflexology and
It's fun.
A&P. Yeah,
The
it's
new courses
awesome.
are sick. The new
Yeah.
courses are so. I'm so glad. And did you just see? Sorry to cut you off, but like for
No, you're
anyone
good.
that's a student, there's also the spiritual side of naturopathy that they just published on May 4th. The 4th. So
Oh, I
there's
didn't
a
see that
new,
yet.
yeah, it's just come out, and it's really digging into what you just spoke on, Russell, there on that emotional and spiritual awakening, and seeing that in clients, seeing that in people you work with, friends. So I wanted to say that anyone that's there, get there's clinical herbology, the AMP, like you said, but please continue. It's just exciting stuff, man. It's amazing to hear this, especially from such a young person. So much of what you're saying is what I've experienced. I've noticed other young men and women, but other young men that maybe don't have the confidence to realize, actually, no, I am like this. I don't need to pretend to be someone I'm not, because I actually
Yeah.
do have the sensitivity and have this. A phrase that came to me when I woke up to this was, I don't have time for this crap. There's something else I got to
Yeah.
do. I don't know what it was, but it's like you saw it so quickly, man. So inspiring. Please continue. Wow.
Yeah. So it was like as soon as my vibration kind of raised, synchronicities just started happening. I
Mm.
saw this documentary on a martial art called Wing Chun. I thought it was amazing, like the science of self-defense, Wing Chun. And so I was like, "Whoa, this is super cool." We don't we don't just punch each other in the face. That's not a good way to practice for the rest of your life. You can't do that every day without getting brain damage. So we it's a soft style martial art, and it's the
So
one that
good.
Bruce Lee did before he came to America. And it's all about using your enemy's force, or your opponent, their force against them. So, it was the only martial art that was created by a woman. So it's designed to take down bigger, stronger opponents. And it's all about going with the flow, using the most efficient uh, motions possible and the most deadly strikes in a true self-defense situation. But so I walked into a martial arts studio. I looked up on Google Wing Chun Tucson, and I walked into a martial arts studio, and I've been there ever since, 2.5 years. And I've been there almost every day since. And it's just so amazing. And then I met people there who do qigong, started doing qigong about 9 months ago. I'm loving that. That's amazing. That's another level, the energetic level, moving energy around. That's very, very interesting. You can do some really cool stuff with that. And so
Mm.
I'm loving every aspect of life right now. Martial arts, qigong, helping people with health, eating fruit on my own. I have these grapes right here that are absolutely delicious. Um, red grapes. They're super, super good. And so, yeah, I'm just loving life now. And I want that to be a message for anyone. You can go from kind of a degenerate lifestyle that's destroying you to turning it all around and finding your purpose. And then things just kind of fall into place for you. The more you align with your true self and express yourself completely. And the internet is a great way to do that. If you're truly expressing your unique expression, people resonate with that, and people that vibrate on your same frequency are going to come to you. And then you can make new friends. You can you can have new connections, start something real and get the snowball going. And it's all from, stopping these things that are poisoning you, because so many people poison themselves. And so it's like, work
Mm.
all week at a job you hate. Then on the weekends, drink so you forget that you work at a job you hate. And so, yeah, you may get a little momentum to do something, and then you just, break it all down. But if you are just sober all the time, that snowball starts going and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't stop it. And it'll take you places that you never thought were possible, you know? And so I just want to give that as a message that anyone, anywhere can turn around not only their health, but also their lifestyle and just be much happier and live a happier life.
Wow. That's incredible, bro, because I get clients asking me throughout their healing journey of when they losing an old paradigm of themselves. And they say,
Hmm.
what am I going to look like? What's the new me going to be like? I have a client right now that she really just wants still that element of you tell me what I'm going to be like. And the phrase I use with them and with this client specifically is I'm not the one to say that, and just know that whatever you lose, you will gain so much more, and let the unknown of that unfold. And like you said, that snowball, when you start living in your true alignment, there's no stopping it, whether you like it or not. And really being able to let, and Dr. Morse teaches this through and through, and is level one, he really gets into the deep of it, is that getting that relationships that aren't meant to serve you will fall away. But there may
Hmm.
be a part of you during that that will, no, I need to keep on, I need to hold on to that. This is the best thing. No, even if it's terrible, it's like having an abusive relationship or with alcohol. Like there's a pull and you go, no, but I won't be able to do that with those friends anymore. Well, maybe I don't want friends like that. Maybe I don't want to be in that world. Maybe I'm not serving my best self, serving humans like in a way that is conducive of what I actually want to be doing, and listening to that. And what you've just shown, man, and in the time frame of, people often say like, oh, I remember I heard this from, I think, maybe my brother or someone growing up, who was said, "Oh, you're so fixated on diet, Jake. You're so fixated on this. Why don't you just use your 20s to just sort of party and do these things, and then go to those things in your 30s?" And I never understood that. And you clearly had seen that, literally from when you were 17, 18, and then coming out of that now into your early 20s, like that you can do this now. You don't have to wait till you're 40, or these people that are their 40s, 50s. I imagine for you, clients you get, they'll be young, but a lot of people that are parent age, they're like, hey, you're the same age as my mom, like you're the same age as my granddad. And yet these people didn't, you know what I mean? And this that young
Absolutely.
folk nowadays, you have so much information around trying to confuse you. But what you are showing here is having that. I love what you said before, and I relate to that. I know people listening to this relate, is you guys know the truth. We already have it. There's not an additive mindset. And that's what Dr. Morse's school shows. That's what you were just showing through and through with how you've transformed here, Russ, is that you just were accessing and listening, ultimately listening to a part of you that was saying, hey, over here, like this is what we're meant to be doing, not that. And you listen to it. And I get it, guys. I often use the analogy for people to go, but it's so chaotic. And I go, yeah, it's going to be hard to hear the flute note through the drum and bass. What's the
Hmm.
best thing you got to do? Get away from drum and bass, and then you hear the flute note. That's truth leading you. You need some conducive environment there. So I just real man, I'm so amped about this right now, because you went into, there's a few notes I've taken here because there's the ethics of diet, and I love this self-defense stuff. I've seen your videos on your YouTube of the martial Russ's martial art videos are wild. The brick to the core, man. I get that. Like that amazing. And I love that it was created by a woman, generally smaller stature, objectively, usually physically weaker than men. So yeah,
Hmm.
how do we use, it's not just brute strength. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I wanted to delve a little bit into, and I think this is a really important part. You said you found veganism. That was like me. I've been vegan nearly 12 years, but I went down cooked food vegan, just eat, if it's vegan, it's good for you kind of thing. And I know a lot of people listening to this, I see you probably get it on your comments. They go, you're talking about fruit and herbs and reading the eyes. And I've seen comments on mine and yours and many. They go, oh, well, vegan killed this person. We're not talking about veganism. That's a ethical concept. Yes, but this is fruitarian veganism, if you will. So I want to maybe go into the ethics of diet there, into the importance of distinguishing the two, and what really are you referring to here. Like, it's not just veganism. Yes, these are absolutely key, because I'm trying to get clients into the way of seeing the way that you and I see things, and that
Hmm.
we as a baseline really got to be vegan in that sense. We can't be eating our friends. But a lot of these people that are raw vegan maybe aren't raw vegan. They use it more as a trend. So maybe go into some deeper ethics of how you yeah, how you relate to that. 'Cause I think it's a really overlooked, important aspect of this lifestyle, and that is the ethical aspect.
Absolutely. I mean, if the whole world was vegan, it would instantly be a million times better on every single level. Because like if you look at animal agriculture, if you look at like what it's doing to like the amount of land that it takes for a cow to be raised compared to vegetables and fruits, Dr. Morse talks about that. You can feed 30 people with the cow, 300 with the vegetables, 3,000 with the fruits.
Yeah,
Obviously getting away from that is just going to raise humanity's vibration. For me, I have clients of all types of people, and I really just I feel like I'm here to help people get well, and so I definitely don't push any sort of way of thinking onto them. I
sure.
like even if they're addicted to drinking or to weed or to caffeine, that's
Mm.
a big one. I
Oh,
had
yeah.
people asking me today, like, do I do the herbs and the caffeine or do I have to quit the caffeine? It's like, I don't tell people to quit anything. I'm just like kind of going in the back door. Like Dr. Morse says, you're going in the back door from health to spirituality, getting them to get their bodies healthy, and then when their body is healthy, their mind is healthy, and they can finally start thinking. They can finally
Mm,
think for themselves, hey, maybe I shouldn't be eating this animal, especially if it's making me sick and now I feel so much better. Why would I go back to eating that when I feel better and I don't have to kill an animal? I it's not like some of the vegans are like they think that you need all this B12 and all this protein and they're like, yeah, I'm making a big sacrifice here. I'm vegan, but it's for the animals. I know that I'm withering away, but I'm vegan for the animals. It's like, no, you're objectively healthier if you're eating actual vegan food, like fruits.
mm,
The tree makes it for you. You don't have to go and
mm,
make tofu and seitan and all these
mm,
different things that are like very processed, not good, bring in fungus, all these different things. Like just eat the fruit. Like I made a
mm,
video like a week ago, like just eat fruit, bro. And it's really that simple. It's not always that simple in different cases, but if
mm,
everyone were to take that as a baseline, like, oh, I'm sick, let me eat some fruit until I'm better. Like things would just get so much better. But yeah, I think as you make your body strong and healthy, you become a more compassionate person. And so
mm,
like even my family members notice that about me. They're like, You're way different after I came back this last year, after 8 months on a fruit diet, I felt happier. I was like nicer to my little cousins, hanging out, playing with them a lot more rather than
mm,
being kind of moody and off by myself. Like it totally raises you up in
mm,
every sense of the word. You just feel like a more compassionate, you have more energy to give out. If you're drained
mm,
of energy, you're not going to say hi to the person you see at the farmer's market or whatever. But if you have
mm.
tons of energy, you feel amazing, you're going to be spreading that love wherever you can. You can have a little ant that you see and you're like, oh, I'm not like you're taking a step and then you see an ant and you're like, whoa, I'm not going to step on that ant.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about every little creature now is that
Mm,
I just love them. And there's lots of people who do that, but also eat cooked vegan food. So it's not a
mm,
one-to-one thing, but the
mm,
more you raise up your vibration in that way, I think you can definitely be a more compassionate person. But yeah, I think going in the back door is what you need to do with some people. Like I feel like,
yeah.
especially with me and you, it's like we're talking about the eyes and people, they're so interested in that. Like it's
Mhm.
like I have a blue eye. I thought I had a hazel eye. Can't I can really change my eyes to blue? And there's a lot of people with brown eyes who are like, help me get blue eyes. It's like I can't do that. Sorry, man, but you're beautiful just the way you are, but no, you
Yeah.
can't change nature. But if you have a
Mm.
hazel eye, sure, you can get it to blue. And so I get a lot of people who are like, help me change my eye. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll help you change your eye. You got to eat fruit. And then like, and then
Can
they're
you do
like,
that?
oh, yeah, can you do that? And they're like, yeah, I'll do that from my vain idea of I want to have better looking eyes and
Yeah.
be a more attractive person. And then it's like, ha, I just tricked you into raising your vibration and helping to heal yourself and changing your whole frequency. So I think that's like Dr. Morse talks about going in the back door from health to get to spirituality.
Mm,
Well, I'm kind of going in the back door of like this looks maxing trend into getting that into real true health and
mm,
vitality of energy.
mm. I love you said there with that person that asked, like, I want it just coming in for the vanity side of things, and I get clients
Mhm.
doing the same thing, and I'll kind of leverage that, yeah, to get them to start doing these things, and then sort of subtly show them that that's not really going to be your focus anymore. But you got to be, as you said, you got to sort of play it carefully, because if you say to them, "Hey, look, you're not going to give a toss about that in 6 months' time if you go down this road," but it's only a normal response that will happen, because the vain motivation will fall away, because it's ultimately trivial and it has no substance. And that's what's cool, is using something, because people are fascinated by it. There's that good, really amazing movie, I Origins. Anyone that hasn't seen that, that's an incredible film about like past life and all these things through the eyes. Because yeah, you do see this living person. You see, but on a physical level, as you and I know, both being lymphatic iridologists, is it's just a physical. It's like really just an amazing physical map. I'm yet to be surprised by what I find, man. And you would have that the same. It's like nothing's random. You see that, and it's just, well, you didn't tell me that problem. And maybe they told you some, and then you tell them something they didn't mention to you at all, and they go, "Man, this is definitely on point," because I didn't tell you anything about that.
I love
um,
that.
yeah,
That's so fun. Like it always, yeah, it amazes me every single time. Every single time I just like think about Dr. Morse and like, man, he set something going here on Earth that is so amazing. Using the eyes. And sure, there's people who are like, that's not scientific. There's no science that proves that. But then every day I have my lived experience, which is getting people who are like, oh my God, my neck is tight. I do have this problem or that problem. How,
mm,
like, this is amazing. And so
mm.
iridology is just such a cool science. And it's like, yeah, I've heard about that I Origins movie. I've never seen it, but people tell me to watch that.
Yeah, bro, you should. A great independent movie. And being an iridologist, you look at it differently, but on a spiritual level, because they come in it for more. It's actually really, it's showing the spiritual versus the intellectual side. One of the guys is a scientist. He's trying to put eyes on, I think, worms or something. And then his girlfriend that he meets, she's very spiritual. She's not into the intellectual, and something happens. And man, it's just, yeah, you got to watch it. It's one of those movies, rare films nowadays, that is just absolute gold, visual gold on every level. You've It's like reading an amazing book. You finish reading it, like, change in some way, and it's not just a way to pass time, you know. So, uh, man, there was something you said there about when people, oh, man, I had a brain dump, but I want to get on to the next part around the power of fruits and herbs. And people hear it all the time from Dr. Morse, and I think over they over I've had this with clients many times. They think that there's more to it. As you
Yeah.
said, it's like like what you need to do is ultimately quite simple. But the application, that's why when I coach clients, like 4 months, I usually coach them for the duration of a herbal protocol, is because in actuality, people struggle getting away from their addictions and getting away from the things they rely on or seek comfort in. And something that I often use the analogy with clients is a coin. You know, I use it with Dr. Morse. Told him the one is like there's a physical side and the non-physical side. And you see, you go into, like, I used to live in a Hare Krishna community. I'm not a Hare Krishna, but there was like a volunteer program there, and I did talks there. It was like educating people on this with fruits. We had like big grape diets and things together. It was so fun doing people's eyes for free, and just like, come, let's learn about this. And you see these Hare Krishna people, they get really focused and any spiritual group, very focused on diet. I'll just pray over the food. I'll raise the vibration. And it's like, you can't put petrol in a diesel car. Like, you could pray over that all you want, and the car's not going to run. The thing with the human body is it's a bit more forgiving. It will go until it's not. And so
Mhm.
this other element, though, is why can't we apply this diet so perfectly when we feel so great? We see the results. We feel it some shorter term, but there's that other part, is the emotional aspect. And I love what you said about the back door to spirituality that Dr. Morse teaches through and through there, is that if we come in from that angle, we can support the maybe lower frequency that the individual is at. So that their frequency naturally raises due to the fact that you're objectively taking in high vibrational fruit, and then everything transforms the same way your family noticed that with you and your nieces and cousins at playing with them, whereas before you were kind of like, oh, nah, screw that. I don't want to play, whatever it is. Um, and and how this alone can have a transformative process that can be chaotic to some, to a lot of people, actually. I've seen this to be quite objectively in the last 3 years, the biggest, it's been one of two things. Family pressure, social pressure, like people hating on you, and saying you're getting too skinny, they don't understand the detoxification, or that they struggle processing darker and old emotions through whatever they've had trauma as a child. What would be your advice or little nugget of gold for those that are going on this and are struggling emotionally, family pressure, girlfriend, boyfriend pressure, or old pains coming up? What can they do that's a constructive way to help them move through that?
Yeah, they absolutely have to become more in tune with their self and start loving their self. Because if you don't love yourself, then you're looking for love from that external validation. If you can't spend time alone, then you're constantly filling your life up with distractions. So you have to find a practice, whether it be a walk that you're doing every day, some sort of meditation, anything that you can do that really speaks to you. Because my martial arts teacher always says this: there's 8,000 different ways to meditate. And what we do, which is a martial arts form, is just one of them. So go out and try a bunch of different types, whether that be sitting meditation or just going on a walk or some sort of martial art where you're doing a longer meditation, and really spend time with yourself. Go out into nature, go on a hike, whatever it may be, whatever you can do to spend time alone and get in touch with yourself, because you are really this powerful being that is put into this very rigid, structured, chemical reality. And so most people are stuck in that rigidity. They want you to give them, like, give me what to eat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. And it's like, it's up to you. I want to just show you the way. And then it's up to you. So figure out who you are. That's the biggest thing I can say. And it can definitely be tough for people, but spend as much time alone as you can and truly, work on controlling your thoughts, work on getting to that alone state. And it just
Mm,
takes practice. All you got to do
mm,
is practice. All you got to do is meditate every day, in some way, walking, whatever it may be. And you will
mm.
get to the point where your thoughts calm down, where you get stronger in your emotions. Because if you're just listening to people, like, a lot of people do think that Dr. Morse is some sort of wizard, and he is in a lot of ways, but he's just telling you a very simple truth. And
Yeah.
it's just on you to follow. He's not, people are like, well, can you ask Dr. Morse? Like, I know that you and everyone in his clinic says it, but what is he going to say about it?
Same. I get
Surely, yeah,
always the same, man. Like, but now I want to hear from Dr. Morse. Now I want to hear from Dr. Morse, and it's like exactly that. And you see the praise, and I get it. Like people, but he's such a humble person. He just like you cured me from this. He's like, no, I showed you how you could heal yourself. I'm showing you how to
yeah,
realign with nature. I remember in level one, he actually said to me around the lines of, I'm not teaching you anything. I'm showing you what you already know, because
yeah,
every species has this. Nature is the original teacher. And these simple truths hit hard because, and that's why you read something from the past that is true now, because it is true. And doesn't really matter if people are hearing it or not. It'll always be true. These are objective. As you said, we've come to a very physical, chemistry driven domain. And we got to align with that. And it's interesting what you said around the thing about just getting into nature, going for walks. I give very similar recommend, pretty much the same to clients and I show them, because the chaos of interference that you're getting from your husband, your boyfriend, whoever, saying, "Oh, well, you're getting quite lean," or yeah, you were craving the fish the other day. Well, that shows your intuition. You should be eating the fish. Well, no, Jake's telling me that that's because of parasites, and I've got like fungus in my body. That's why the bread, blah blah blah. No, that's no. Well, yeah, maybe, but no. Well, I'm paying for this. He's doctor. Ask Doctor Morse then. See what he says. This kind of thing, and then you go say the same
hmm
thing, mate. And then that interference can only go if you become alone, go into aloneness. And as Doctor Morse says, is everything is we're here together, but everything is its unique, alone expression of consciousness. And that can be scary, but what you've just shown is you've pulled away from these comfort vices, the partying, the drinking, the smoking weed, this food stimulants, and you've gone into aloneness. And aloneness, as you would experience, you're not a lonely guy. You speak with such articulation. You're very clear. People resonate with you because that truth of how we're meant to be is ringing through you the same way it rings through Dr. Morse. It's this consciousness coming through. And people like Rudolf Steiner, Paul Twitchell from Eckankar, both of these people had to find ways to get consciousness in through the itty bitty mouth into words that people could understand. And as we as humans know, those ancient scriptures, Taoism, Alan Watts with bringing Zen to the West, just these simple one-liners can literally just be a earth-shattering, the completely transformational thing to be told. Like with your martial art teacher, I'm sure there's many phrases used there of like, wow, that was such a simple line, but of course of course it is that way. And I wanted to circle back slightly to the ethical thing because I 100% agree with you. I think pushing things on people is not the way, rather show and lead them. And something that I've seen with a lot of junk food vegans that are hung up on science is on one note, and this is why, and I imagine for you, I just couldn't give two shits about science, man. Like, I just could not care less. It's
Yeah.
cool when science comes in and shows, oh, look, fruit sugar is good for you. It doesn't cause diabetes. Why is that? Weird. You go, yeah, cool, obviously. But because science will always change, facts will change. Truth doesn't change. Facts are just based on the data you have. And so I've seen with vegans, they get hung up on the macro micronutrient thing, the calorie thing. And also because I practice the mucosist diet healing system with clients that objectively cannot get onto fruit straight away, or they're struggling so emotionally that I could just see if they were to go in, they wouldn't be able to handle it. And I've seen that the whole calorie and over the years, it all falls away, and that echoes through Dr. Morse's teachings very deeply. And how I think, because I was one of the vegans, like many others, that go in for the animals, and then they end up trashing themselves, they end up eating junk.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's not it. That's not the way. Just because it's vegan isn't the way. So anyone listening to this, guys, what we're talking about is not the ethics of veganism is there. And as Russell so eloquently put, you will naturally become more compassionate, more caring for others and yourself because it loops back. It's what goes around comes around. It's that karmic flow. But if you are eating and here in Australia, it's called Hungry Jack's, but essentially Burger King and Domino's whilst doing animal activism, that's not enough. You're doing the animals a disservice and yourself, and you're not being compassionate enough to yourself and taking that responsibility. And it is hard. But the best way to start is exactly what Russell is showing here is when you see your eyes, when you see your health case, the same way both of us do essentially, we're taking on the torch from Dr. Morse of this is what you got to do. Now it's up to you to do that. And Russell is a young, intelligent example of what any of you can be. And this isn't unique to Russell. This isn't unique to me or a client that's had success through me or through Russell or whomever. This is not exclusive to Dr. Morse. The information is not exclusive to Dr. Morse. Or another one I've seen is Dr. Yaki. People, I saw a thing on this fruitarian group. I'm not sure if you're there, Russell, but people are like, well, I'm eating quinoa now because Dr. Yaki says quinoa is a fruit. And then,
Right.
and I'm like going, no, mate, no, 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 we gotta keep it simple because there's a lot of confusion there. And I think for you, bro, I know it's going to be one of those things that I agree because I made a free ebook when I started this, and people want exact amounts. Like, well, how much do you eat? What do you discover that? What does your body tell you as you start eating? In Japan, they have harahachibu, I think, which is eat until half full, until three
Mhm.
quarters full. But fruit will tell you that, and I want to really get into, did you intuitively move into that when you came into fruits? I know you've been around 8 months now. Maybe if you could touch on your eye regeneration as well, that'd be pretty cool. And I know that you struggled to keep food down. So when you went from what you were eating before into fruits, for me personally, it was easy to eat it. Emotions was what I struggled with. But I know other people they struggle with. They physically feel nauseous. Maybe got to use certain herbs or certain cooked fruits to transition, get their body used to move, especially sulfuring a lot of lymphatic gunk in their digestive tract. That generally is going to be a hard one for them. But then sometimes not. It's one of those things. Maybe the individual is strong enough in the baseline there with their genetics, they can handle through. So how is that for you from someone coming from you would purge your food, you couldn't keep food down, you had poorer eyesight. But on a physical side there, as well as the eyes, what did that look like to where you are now?
Yeah, so I always played baseball as a kid, and I was always a great hitter. But in sophomore year of high school, my vision just went, and I couldn't see the ball anymore. I would just swing and miss over and over, hundreds of times. Very, very just like, oh man, striking out every single time. And I I just started wearing contacts and glasses. I was negative 1.5 in both eyes. And then in about 2020, I went to Jamaica actually, and it was actually after I got the COVID vaccine, which I was 16 years old when I got it. I just got it because my parents told me you wouldn't get into college and you won't be able to do anything. And I was stupid. I wanted to go to concerts and you couldn't get into concerts without a vaccine card. And so I got the vaccine. And I remember it was before I really knew too much, but I still cried intuitively in the car before getting it because my body knew that it was not going to be good for me. Like it knew. And then I ended up going to Jamaica, and the catalyst was like drinking like 20 Red Stripes in a day, Jamaican beer. And I drank 20 beers. And then the next day I was just wiped out for like 4 days. It felt like I was going to die. I couldn't eat anything. I would throw everything up. And then when I got back to the States, it was the same thing. I could not eat anything. And I think part of that was like just shutting my adrenals down, not having that,
Mm,
not having any, you know, super chronic gut, all that kind of stuff. The whole nervous system plus probably the GI was destroyed as well. I don't know exactly what happened, but it was literally like if I had a beer or if I had food that just sat with me the wrong way, I couldn't keep it down. And
mm,
so it was really just a struggle. It was a struggle because I was like trying to put on muscle and go to the gym while packing in protein powders. And like every other meal would just I just have to like go sit and lay down or I would actually end up throwing it up. And that was like 3 years of my life. And I just didn't know what was happening, couldn't figure it out whatsoever. And it just felt like I was super duper sensitive to anything and anything could set it off. And then I also had Raynaud's disease, fake disease, which was just a circulation problem where and a thyroid problem where I would have cold hands and feet.
yeah, I
And
had
so
that too.
I would,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So my hands would turn white when it was cold. And
damn.
then, yeah, I was eating raw vegan. And so I was having like dehydrated mushrooms. I'm in Arizona, so I can just put the tray out in the sun and it'll dehydrate it. And like I was having like warm meals from the 110-degree sun cooking stuff. And so
Wow.
yeah, I was doing that, and then I was having these really good seeded watermelons. Those were in season, like yellow watermelons and red watermelon, and they were all delicious. And one day I was just like, the only thing I want to eat is the watermelon. I could eat this all day and only this, and I could feel that it was hydrating me instead of dehydrating me like the nuts and all the stuff I was doing. So I just went all watermelon, 33 days of watermelon, then straight into 17 days of grapes because Concord grapes were in season and I was getting these beautiful purple Concord grapes. They're so, I felt like I was transported to Egypt. I was just laying on the couch, just dropping grapes into my mouth and
Bro,
I'd turned into a grape.
I've only ever had Concord grape juice, the Lakewood brand from Florida, but we don't get
Hmm.
Concords here. But they're my favorite take. I've only had the liquid, but I can only imagine, man. Like it's wow. So 33 days watermelon, and then to 17 days on like top tier Concord grapes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
and I definitely turned into a grape. Like at my martial arts class, I was just floating. I felt so good that whole time, and I was like, I learned how to do flips during that time. So I was doing side flips and front 180s and all this kind of stuff, and just like so much energy doing 5,000 punches a day and all this crazy stuff, which takes like 45 minutes. But yeah, it was really amazing. And 2 months into it my vision was completely healed, completely 2020 from needing glasses to 2020 in 2 months.
Wow.
And my gut problems were already like pretty much gone, but they were completely gone once I started on all fruits. And my Raynaud's disease, that was probably 3 or 4 months in that I stopped having cold hands. And I was just like, whoa. And then a laundry list of other things. My BO was gone all of a sudden. I
Mhm.
didn't get sore anymore. I wouldn't burn in the sun unless I was out for like 8 hours under the Arizona sun. I would burn a little bit, but
Mm.
way better. And it never
Mm.
hurt. Sunburns never hurt anymore. And like
Mm.
today, I got actually stung by a tarantula hawk, which is like that's number two on the pain index
Wait,
compared to
what?
like a
Wait, what? What's a tarantula hawk?
tarantula hawk is a type of wasp that hunts tarantulas. And so
Jeez.
like
What?
that's something that I would think would be in Australia over there with you.
Well,
One of
up
those
here,
crazy.
I am now. We've got 10, 12 feet crocodiles in rivers that would
Wow.
eat you.
That's
Yeah,
terrifying.
but not that. That's wild. So you got. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I was picking grapefruits actually. My martial arts teacher, him and his wife have a grapefruit tree, and they were letting me pick grapefruits. And so I was just clipping a grapefruit, and then it felt like someone drove like a rusty nail into my finger. And I looked, and there was just this wasp just sticking its giant stinger in me, and I thought it was like an Asian giant hornet or something, but I just like shook it off, and I was like, "Whoa, that is not a normal wasp." It was like way more painful than anything I've ever been stung by, and it's like it's apparently, yeah, it's like the second highest on the pain index, most painful insect on earth. And it hurt,
Jeez.
but I didn't react at all. Like it didn't make me freak out or anything. I just shook it off. And then I was like, talking to the person I was with, I was just laughing like, man, that thing like really, really got me. I don't know what type of wasp that was, but then I looked it up and it was a tarantula hawk. And like my finger was like swollen to double its size, but it's already back down. It
Wow.
doesn't hurt whatsoever, and it like my lymphatic system just moved it out. And then I looked
Yeah.
it up. What's in this thing's venom? It's proteins. It's just a
Yeah.
bunch of protein, and that's what caused that much pain is protein.
Mhm.
So I'm glad I'm not doing any protein.
Man, I love the way you you segued that, which I could see was so unintentional, but
Hmm.
it's exactly why people feel interstitial pain is
Yeah,
because of this endless protein is intake. And what you just experienced there was an isolated acute like event of, oh damn, ow. And
yeah,
people's bodies are experiencing this every day, but they have lymph that's produced, it buffers its effect. Maybe they have some fat, these keto diets, and oh well, now the fat, I feel great. Well, the fat's buffered it out, and now you've got these people eating meat and fruit, and they don't understand it. The
oh my
fruit's
God.
allowing them to eliminate
Yeah,
relatively quickly, and they're getting the stimulation of the meat, thinking they're getting real energy, and it's just a lie, and it's this complete. It's like one thing that really gravitated me towards this in a more deeper spiritual sense was the Essene gospel of peace and how that Jesus is showing the eating of the fruits and to spend time alone and all of this and get into nature and when asked about the scriptures, with Moses and all of that, he's like the scriptures of man, they're lies, go into nature and you'll learn. And I love that
yeah.
because it's just pretty much giving the middle finger to anything written for that matter, that
Hmm.
nature is the first teacher, not man. And I had a side note, I had a PhD Oxford professor at my school back in high school, and he was regarded as a very intelligent person. And he was under the somehow understanding that people were taught by people, that we all learn and blah, blah. Like, no, who taught the first group of humans, mate? Couldn't answer that one. And now I'm like, man, I wish I'd said to him, nature is the original teacher. And that's where
Yeah.
intuition and wisdom come from, which is deeper inner learning. And what, on a physical level there, Russell, I remember one of the first places I went to in Ecuador was a place called Fruit Haven Eco Village. And
Mm.
there's a guy there called Kevin, and he used to have a great fruitarian raw vegan channel on YouTube. He's deleted all his content. If you somehow are hearing this, Kevin, where'd you go, man? Like, we need you back. But I remember he got stung by a bullet ant, which I think is up there with that wasp. And the first time he got bitten years prior, he was in a lot of pain for a few days. But I think this time we were there. We walked barefoot up to the waterfall, and they said, "Oh yeah, Jake, just so you know, there are bullet ants." And one was like near my foot, like this big, and he's like, "Yeah, just don't piss it off because they really hurt." Um, and they called that because it's like what a bullet's like or whatever. And anyway, he got bitten soon after we had left, and he said it was gone within a couple of hours. He was having his fruit salad later. He's like, you barely even saw the bite. And just like what you
Yeah.
showed there is you're another example of anyone that's read Arnold Ehret's work, that he would go through the levels of cleanliness of diet and show that he wouldn't have pain, he wouldn't bleed much, it would seal over, the blood would oxidize, um, it would be perfect. The same way that Sarah, this from self illumination, pain free births. You can have a pain free birth. You can have. I used to do landscape gardening before this, man, and I always get cut. And I was doing exactly what you're doing, is listening to all of Dr. Up until 2 years ago, I listened to every single one of Dr. Morse's Q&As and repeated as well. So I was there just getting this in, and I'll be in my zone. I'll get cut, wouldn't even know, and then be like, "Oh, damn, that was a really bad cut, but it's sealed up." Not, and then realizing, oh, it's because I'm eating this way, I'm living this way, and more of these little things will show you. Like you said, you have a laundry list of things that got better. Your negative 1.5 eyesight regenerated back to full 20/20. You've got mobility through the martial arts and movement, and these other things that clients that I imagine you've got and I have. We can't ignore that we can't ignore those little hints of progress. Sometimes the deeper thing we're going after may not present itself immediately. I think a good one that comes to mind was Dr. Morse had, if you remember the case of that boy that was beaten up by his dad, and I think he was thrown down some stairs. He lost his vision and I think was in a wheelchair. And he got his vision back relatively quickly, but he had like no movement for like 6 or 7 months. And then Jessica, the main counselor, got a text and it's him wiggling his feet. He noticed no noticeable progression during that time, but it's showing you that nature is healing you. Just patience, time is your best friend. And for anyone that is booked with Russell, has booked with me, who has maybe fallen off the wayside, or they're gone, oh, this is harder than I thought. Well, yeah, you reap what you sow, and it'll only get easier. As Russell said at the beginning, that snowball momentum, it'll get more and more. It'll start. You can't stop it. Initially, it might be you got to push a bit, and then now it's got the momentum to go, and you can run with it. That's the beauty of any good change, is it will self-create. It'll and all the things that are meant to align with you will align with you, and the things that aren't meant to, as painful as they are, as painful as they may be to let go of, you have to let go of them. And this sort of segues me into this next part I wanted to touch on throughout this, bro. And I love it that you're not just one of these fruitarian people like myself who are stuck in just not moving their bodies. I do a lot of calisthenics. I'm heavier and stronger now than I was when I was on cooked vegan. I'm a pretty light person anyway, and I'm not trying to build weight. But it's like I sit around 145 to 150 pounds at 5 feet 8, and all I do is just do pull ups, chin ups, push ups, running around, play with the cat. We're looking after a cat at the moment, and it's just so fun. And you're there eating fruits, and you're doing advanced martial arts. And I maybe touch on the importance of movement, and maybe even go in a bit more detail of the abilities you've acquired by eating this way and doing these martial arts. Because I saw one of your videos, you had time lapse of you doing like 3,000 punches or something. And as you said, I was just going, what's the reason for this? For me, I'm intrigued as well, because we got to bring in other levels of self discipline. And I think that level of self discipline may, for some that are listening that perhaps are struggling to apply a fruit lifestyle, maybe they should start doing some martial arts. Maybe they could start doing some level of disciplinary practice to help them instigate a solid foundation. So if you could expand on any way you see fit there, bro, around the martial arts, the movement, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the martial art I do is all about being loose, being relaxed, and that is such a huge thing. And for me, I feel like I have a major advantage over people who are eating meat. You just tend to be more tight. And it also goes into something that I see quite a lot now. It's like this expansion of consciousness in the working out space. Like there's this guy who's doing like interpretive dance, kind of like just free flowing movements, getting his body going, and
True.
that's what he does. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I know him
that's what he does
personally.
for working out.
He's such a cool guy. Dude,
Yeah,
he used to be on he used to be part of a thing called Cool to Be Conscious down in Melbourne and Sydney and in Brisbane as well. And he was big, buff, like meat eating guy. Like his thing was protein. And a mutual friend of ours, Nova, she's in the Gold Coast, about 2 days drive from me now, but I'm from that area. And he met her and was like, this person's vibing. What's she doing? And he had to like go of all of this meat eating consciousness and he is full on like fruitarian, moves his body with his fluidity. So anyone that hasn't seen him, I'll link his page in this as well, because that is he's living and he has done a short turnaround. Like his few years on this, a few years ago, he was eating meat, eating whatever, all into bodybuilding, and he is a big guy. He's like 6'4", I think. But please, yeah, continue. So the ability of the importance of relaxed movement.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Cause in my martial art, if you're tight, you're slow. If you're
Mm,
tight, you aren't able to go with the flow of something and, get back and attack. So that is something that definitely I felt, the more I do fruit, like mono fruit, I am just, and it's also about having an empty mind. Like that's an extremely important thing in my martial art is if you have all these thoughts coming in, you are not going to react in the correct way to incoming force. And so when I was on all grapes, it felt like just pure consciousness, like pure awareness. And that's how I was functioning. And that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Empty mind, not a cluttered mind. And so I feel that all the time with fruits is that I have this advantage where I'm more flexible, more powerful because I'm more relaxed. And it's just so much better than being all tight and stiff and sore. And sure, your muscles are big, but you can't use them. That's something that I see is that it doesn't matter how big your muscles are. That's something that I have personal experience with. Sometimes really muscly people are slow and they can't actually use their muscle. And it's like, my teacher always gives this example of if you want to get your car to go and you press down on the gas just enough so that it starts rolling, then you can really hit on the gas and get going. But if you're stopped and you just slam on the gas, you're going to burn the tires and not go anywhere. And that's what people with too much muscle are doing all the time. And like a lot of combat sports athletes and a lot of athletes in
mm,
general have so much muscle that they've trained from like these isolated workouts in the gym and like
mm,
where they're just working one muscle group. And like calisthenics, totally different. You're working the whole body
mm,
in every single workout. And then
mm,
this stuff that's more like flowy, like Rue and lots of other people too. I see like everyone starts doing this. Like every guy that I see that posts like about health and this stuff is like, I'm doing this weird stuff now. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. And I've tried it and you feel so free from that. Like that's a true
mm,
human movement, not getting yourself into a gym into this tight curled up position where you're
mm,
working one muscle group. Like no, like actually having rhythm and timing in your workouts is amazing. So jump roping, dancing, anything like that is honestly the
mm,
best thing that a combat sports athlete could do to
mm,
get like truly in tune with their body because your muscles are intelligent and they have to have that timing and rhythm in them and you get that from the way you train them. And so if you're training with no rhythm, no timing, you're just working out a muscle group and doing sprints and you think that you're going to be a fully athletic person, no, you're not. And when you're doing these flowing movements, you're definitely draining your lymphatic system. When you're doing these sort of like, hopping things, like anything like qigong where you're like raising your arms up, swinging them around, all of that has been known for thousands of years to move energy around, blood,
mm,
lymph, nerve, and, qi. So you are definitely moving all your energy around when you do these things in such a beautiful human way that's also able to express yourself that, yeah, I think anything like yoga, qigong, things like that, dancing are amazing and definitely help along the way. I felt like I had pretty weak kidneys, and so I didn't get my
same.
kidneys filtering for quite a while. But once I did, then I could I could feel that my tightness was just draining out, like literally draining out. Every time I peed, it was like, whoa, that lower back tightness and stiffness is gone now. And I can definitely feel now that my kidneys are filtering, when I'm moving around, when I do like, lymphatic hops or anything like that, it drains everything out of my head, out of my shoulders. It's amazing. So yeah, physical movement, even if it's just walking, I have plenty of older clients and it's like, just walk, do some light movement. But the other thing is like, don't do strenuous exercise, please, while you are detoxing. Do not create more acidosis on top of
Mm.
acidosis when you've got kidneys that aren't filtering.
Mm,
And a lot of people fall into that trap. They think they're gonna get better by punishing themselves.
yeah. It's like the whole thing with, I think it was a Herbert Shelton quote. It was like the surest way to kill someone is to feed them. And like when they're sick. So if when you're sick, leave the body alone, like get out of its way. The same way, if you're unwell, having personal feats in the gym or of some athletic gain is not the aim of the game right now. And it's an interesting one. Anyone that's read Johanna Brand's book, The Grape Cure, showing that her patients that she saw went down from to skin and bone at times. And I believe it was once they got to that point where the grape had stripped it away enough, or it cleaned everything up. Every other day, they're putting on a few pounds of new tissue without training. The body's just doing that. And it's interesting. You look at primates or like an orangutan. I think they're the most likeness to us, but primates in general, they are a frugivorous species like us. Some of them are bigger, some of them are leaner, but you look at an orangutan. I never forget this footage I saw of this orangutan that had grabbed this little girl's dress or arm, and they could not. They had to get like three security guys to ungrip this hand that was
Yeah.
quite a wiry animal, but incredibly strong. And it's interesting that there's this difference that you pointed out here between muscle mass and muscle strength. And anyone that is skeptical, go look up online martial artist versus bodybuilder in like a hand to hand combat. That martial artist will kick their ass. And there's a main reason why. And this dawned on me, Russell, and someone confirmed it. This is big guy on YouTube, millions and millions of subscribers. He's called Vitali. He does like pretends he's a cleaner in the gym, and then you
Yeah,
like
I
lift
love
up
that
the
guy.
weights. That guy, yeah. And he spoke in one of his videos about because people go, man, you're not very big, and he's not. He's got dense muscle, but he's not that big of a guy. He's 5'10". He's not super bulk, and he's like one handling these massive weights. But what he speaks about is exactly what Dr. Morse teaches, and that is neurological strength. Neurological strength is something that people underestimate. Neurological strength is when you have all this kinetic energy coming in from fruit, the ATP, the simple sugars, the electromagnetic frequency. This is powering your nervous system, and this gives you this fluidity that you speak of, that you see with Rue, but also strength that is you can't explain it unless you've experienced it. And yeah, you may not be as bulk as the stimulated gym people, but you wouldn't want to be because you wouldn't be as strong, you wouldn't be as fluid, you'd be in pain, you'd have all these physical ailments, and you shouldn't feel your body the same way that when I train. It's funny you said that about these people that do these static movements. Is if I just even add a simple salad into my diet and then train, I feel more stiff.
Mm.
Like, I
Wow.
literally noticed the difference, and then if you add a soaked nut or add some nut or seed, you're gonna notice it even more. Um, so it's the tr until you experience it, you can't know, and there's a line that Aristotle has, "No better fact than a fact experienced from your own life." And anyone that's heard what any element of what Russell has said here that resonates with you guys, if you're skeptical, just give it a shot. As John Rose said, this is an ideas time has come. You got to start applying these principles from nature. What did Hippocrates say? That food is let your food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. They are one and the same. They're not different things. And that is why fruit can strip you down, but it'll build you up. And you may not be what you want it to be, but it'll be exactly as you're meant to be. And then those abilities, the things that Russell's doing, these backflip, forward flip things, these martial artist movements, you've really inspired me, Russell, because I've done calisthenics for many years, just as a way to move my body and feel good. You did a lot of yoga, but always the martial arts inspired me. And I haven't seen anyone else really doing fruit that talks about or shows the martial arts side as well. And as you know, there's thousands of years of wisdom. We shouldn't ignore that. I really um, someone you said here, and I know I'm moving quite quickly because I've just found your conversation so inspiring, man. Is you use this quote here, the line that you just quoted, and I'll quote you on it. You said, "If you're tight, you're going to be slow." And this on a physical level, on a cell level. So if you're on a martial artist and you're proteined up and you need to be nimble and quick, like the teacher in Karate Kid, right? So unassuming, the most unassuming individual. And bam, he's there, he's doing his thing. But on a cell level, you got all that protein stagnation, your whole body's going to be slow. You're fatigued, you're down, everything's just pain and stiffness. And that's why you know these things are true, because they don't just apply on a spiritual level. Like your mind is like, if you're tight in the mind, you won't be able to see clearly. It's all stagnated and locked in. You need to free from that. And on a physical level, you see it's always twofold. The same way in chemistry, positive, negative, acid, base. These are here in creation. And preaching to the choir with Russell here, but to anyone listening, guys, these simple truths in nature are showing themselves through the way Russell is living, through the ways that Russell is getting his clients onto the same nature protocol that I do, that Dr. Morse does, that Dr. Yaki does, that whoever is in this space, even that Dr. Sebi when he was around, these are just original laws of nature, traditional naturopathy, which is really what it used to be.
It's the finger pointing to the moon, you know? Each one of us is just the finger pointing to the moon. It's the moon. Look at the moon, not the finger. So many people look at the finger and they're like, "Oh my God, Dr. Morse, please save me. Oh my God, Dr. Yaki, please save me." It's not like that. And another thing that people do is kind of on the opposite side, is that they'll go like, "But what about me? Can it really heal me? But what about me with my, hypothyroid? Or what about me with my cancer? Or what about me with my whatever disease name they've been told by a medical doctor?" They come to me and they say, "Could this really help me?" And they're like so incredulous, even if they've seen like, okay, so yeah, it can get people out of wheelchairs, sure. And it can reverse these incurable things that medical doctors put on people, sure. And it can reverse all of these things, but will it work for me? Like, what if I have this new disease that a medical doctor has given a really long name? Will it work for me then? If it's something that not too many other people experience, it's like, yeah, it's going to work for you because it works for everyone, especially when you have a good iridologist looking at your weaknesses, then giving you herbs for those weaknesses. It
Mm,
is a treat all, and without treating anything, it's
mm,
addressing all the root symptoms, the
mm.
root cause,
Yep.
to instead of just the surface level symptoms. So
Mm,
it is absolutely about seeing the whole picture. And when you can see the whole picture, yes, it works for everyone, because this is what humans are naturally designed to eat. And when you eat that way, like, imagine if we were to just eat this way for generations, how different it would actually be. Because like you're talking about, an orangutan's strength is just their whole body is working together. And that's something that I experience in martial arts, is like, I'm learning, like, we stand for a very long time. We do this long form, and it's about controlling your center of gravity, getting control of that, using your toes to grab the ground. And when you can
mm,
do that, you're completely unshakable. Like my teacher, I'm very fortunate to have Dr. Morse as a teacher, 76 years old, and then my teacher is also 76 years old in martial arts. So, just very, very
wow.
fortunate and grateful to have that. And he's another freak of nature. He's Dr. Morse, but for Wing Chun. And he's 76 years old, and he can just pop off the ground, like fully arms extended, legs extended, pop off the ground using his whole body working together. Like, I don't know how to illustrate that visual for people, but and he can also do finger push-ups like this, not like with straight fingers, but with bent fingers. And like, it's just an animal. Like, the strength is unreal. You can see him with, like, we have 7-foot people come into seminars, and he can just easily move them around. And he's this unassuming 76-year-old Chinese man. And he doesn't look like he could beat you up, but he absolutely can. And it's because his whole body is working together. And
Yeah.
when you get like an animal in nature, their whole body is working together. They are
Mm,
fully integrated. Like, we
mm,
can be intellectual and we can know all the herbs for this place and that place. But if you see like a mongoose that gets bit by a poisonous cobra, runs off to the plantain leaf, eats it, and comes back and kills the cobra, that's ingrained in them through nature. And so
mm,
they're already working all together. So if we can keep going this way, and people are, it's expanding big time. I'm seeing it everywhere, that people who weren't interested are now interested. And they're like, hey, I got sick, I'm eating fruit. If we can really get this thing going, and it's not even if we can, it already is. There's going
mm,
to be people thousands and thousands and millions of people in the future who are going to really create a stronger race of humans just by
Yeah.
doing this. They're going to fix
Yeah.
their genetic weaknesses. They're going to raise their consciousness, and we're going to be just pulling things in from the ether. We're going to be pulling in ideas. Everything flows better. Geniuses are, you can make a genius if you put a kid on fruits. You just made a genius. It's as
Mm,
easy as that. You clean their
mm,
lymphatic system, this God force can flow through them so easily, and they're just spitting out answers to the universe because that's what
mm,
we are. We are the entire universe. So getting this holistic thinking away from, dualistic separation and all these kind of, I need this supplement, that supplement, get back to true holistic naturopathy. You're getting all of it in one, and you are the one. So you can literally, you're a new species. You're an
mm,
absolute integrated being compared to a human that has been so lost, because humans have been so lost for so long. Ever since we moved out of the tropics, for whatever reason we did,
mm,
we've been so lost. But it's time to
mm,
get back to that. It really
mm.
is.
Oh man, well said. You well said that. The echoes, I love where you began with about the pointing to the moon. Is what Russell was saying there is literally this divine consciousness of connection with our true path. And it's so inspiring to hear because I've spoke to Professor Spirit about that in a video, like what's to come next. In two generations, our kids, our kids, kids, and so forth. What then? Well, they won't have KFC. Well, they won't be around talking about, well, I'll go to Wendy's and I'm craving Wendy's. I want to have Wendy's. Wendy's is food. Wouldn't even be considered as food. The fact that we see those things as food when real food is not altered, it's given. Like food was here before we were here. The fruit was there. The fruit's there for us. It's for every species that eats it, and every species has their diet. And yet we're here in this spinning somewhere in the weird realms of God knows where, just confused out of our minds and intellectualism. And it's interesting. I went to a Steiner school, and Rudolf Steiner is all
Nice.
about the balance of intellect and wisdom. And for an intellectual guy, he brought his intellect down because he realized and could foresee the detriment of a heavy intellectual species, and that's what we have become of late. Is a heavy intellectual lost species. Of unless you can show me this, then it's not real.
It's
And
a great point.
it's like saying to an animal that can't see light, does that mean light doesn't exist? We perceive light, but they can't. Of course it's real. And then when imagining that, it's like, as you said, what is creating these ultimately elite race of humans by just changing what we eat? What would we be like? It gives me excitement, man, that is like a wonder. And I see it in you when you're speaking of it. It's like we just don't know, but it can only be good, can only be
Yeah.
good. And it's no surprise to me that humanity is warring upon each other, enslaving animals, enslaving each other, raping each other, murdering each other. Well, of course, because we do it on every level. Once we start with ourselves and make those and make those correct choices to nature's laws, everything, all that will start to fade away. And I've no doubt that what we are seeing in nature with all these horrific things is a direct result of the wrongdoings and the disalignment with the laws that we aren't adhering to. And you're just showing how quickly and efficiently and sustainably you can actually live this way. And because it's not, it's as hard as we make it. I've come to see with clients that hold and bind. I'm someone in the past that just loves to have, as Alan Watts would say in Zen, a sticky mind. Don't be a
Hmm.
sticky mind. Let go. Don't attack. Don't try to grab to the bullet train that's coming past. It's going to rip your arm off. Like let it
Yeah.
pass because you have to, because it's not going to stay the same. And and to align with what is, you got to let everything else be. And you've just on so many levels here, Russell, you've uh, just pointed those. I know there'll be those listening to this, and there'll be reels of this on Instagram that we'll both be sharing. So there's so many beautiful things you've eloquently pointed towards here, man. Because what it is it's just pointing again. Hey, the truth's here. Hey, the truth's here. Hey, the truth's here. And yet people are looking at the person pointing like everyone's talking about Jesus. And it's like, Jesus did say that I have a client who just did nearly 100 days on grape juice, and he was very big. He's lost
Wow.
like 80, 90 pounds. He's moving more of his weight at the gym than his body weight. It's incredible. But he feels amazing, and he's having one meal a day of grapes is what he was last doing for nearly 100 days. And he's a very religious person, but his religion has changed. Like connection with God, so to speak, has changed. He's like, we can't be eating animals. We can't be treating each other this way, because I just see that that isn't with my new perception with being on grapes. It's just absolutely no way. And that Jesus said better things are to come after me. So everyone's focusing on Jesus as if like that's the pinnacle. And he's literally saying in their own biblical canon, there are better things to come. You are to do the work. You are to continue on. You are the you are the messengers. And so it's not just this, it's like everyone getting locked into Dr. Morse, and then it's this idolization. I get clients idolizing me, and it's like, please stop. We cannot be doing this. We cannot be idolizing one another. It's like that guy Sadhguru. People think, what, you're so egocentric, you've called yourself Sadhguru. And he's like, you see, sad means not the negative, it's not your guru. And it's like, I'm
Wow.
not your
Yeah.
guru. And I didn't realize that, but it's Sanskrit for literally, I'm not your guru. It's brilliant.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's subtly just in front. He's named himself, I'm not your guru. Um, it's like, for example, I personally, and I don't know about you, Russell, but I personally don't see the importance or the use. I've never needed to use them with glandulars. I know Dr. Moss's glandulars come from New Zealand. I know everything about the industry in that country. There is no ethical way of harvesting them, as much as he may want to think there is. There isn't. I did street animal activism for a year and a half. I know the industry standards through and through. And what made no sense to me, and this is where the shortcomings of any teacher, it's like there's going to be a shortcoming with everyone in every step. A parent, you got to surpass your parents, surpass Jesus, surpass Dr. Morse, surpass Eric. We have to. We have to, because there's going to be little things that we become short sighted on. And one is that if we have the energy stored in the adrenal glands, and we are taking the adrenal glands of an animal that has had immense suffering before its life was ended, and now we are taking that in ourselves, what is that doing to us on a physical level and a spiritual level? It may physically ramp the glands up, but I just have seen with clients that have done that have far worse time. I just got a client off of 4-month adrenal glandular addiction. He didn't realize you're not
Wow.
meant to use them for more than a few weeks at a time anyway, so he made that mistake. That 4 months on 1,200 milligrams 2 to 4 times a day of
That's a
adrenal
lot.
gland,
Yeah.
heavy, man. And so for me, I decided to align more towards, I really don't, I just don't see that being necessary. Like, we got to move out of that. Maybe as a byproduct, sure, I get that, but I just don't see that in the trajectory. And every client that I've asked, I ask them, do you want to use these glandulars? This is what they are. A lot of people have no idea what they even are. These are raw gland tissues of animals that have been harvested for their meat first, and this is the byproduct. And it's all part of that same thing. They didn't have some special slaughtering system. And do you want to take that on? It's up to you. Every single client says no. They don't want to have it. And what I've come to see, where if they need that, if they need that kick, what helps more is a short water fast, or a little juice
Mm.
fast, or a little
Wow.
dry fast. The energy still comes in, because at the end of the day, life doesn't come from death. So that never aligned with me. Every other thing that Dr. Morse taught, man, it's like speaking a language I didn't know I already spoke. But that was one
Yeah.
thing I was just like, I had to really be objective and go, no. I just wanted to share that, because I know that
Thank you.
people often think that I align, like I had another practitioner friend thinking that I'm like diehard idol of Dr. Morse, and I respect the man. I hand drew him when I was out solo camping, sent it to him personally. I've done all his courses a few times. I have a good relationship with him and his team. They're the most beautiful people. But I'm also my own person to see that maybe that doesn't align with me, because I just don't see that reflective in nature. And I want people to hear that it's like, Russell's his own person, I'm my own person, Dr. Morse is his own person. But what is true is the laws of nature, and these things that they don't budge. But what can budge is a perception, or maybe something else within the world we live in, like a glandular. Maybe at some point that resonated for someone, or for Dr. Morse, and now maybe it's like, actually, no, I don't really. That's not consistent with everything else that I'm doing here. So I don't know why I said that, other than that I just thought it was an important thing to share, man. Given the fact that we're both doing the same thing, I just thought it was important.
Dude, thank you for sharing that. That was actually very, very freeing for me to hear, because I
Mm.
felt the exact same way hearing Dr. Morse talk about glandulars. But then in the past few weeks, and this is why you said this is why the universe
Wow.
made you say it, is because I've been using them, and like
True.
in chronic cases, like I have
Mhm.
stage 5 kidney failure case. I was like, I called the clinic. I was like, should we use a kidney glandular? And they're like, yes. And almost none of the ones where I've recommended glandulars have actually gone through. People haven't gone through with ordering the herbs. So like I kept seeing that. And I was like, huh. it never feels right to me. It
Mm,
doesn't align, and just things happen, and they're like, "Oh, I can't do the herbs right now, I'll come back to you at a later time." So honestly, very freeing for me to hear, because like my I felt guilty. I felt like I'm putting people on only herbs, no glandulars. Maybe I'm making them suffer a little bit
same,
longer.
same. I
Yeah.
thought the same. Yep.
So you have them do little water fasts or dry fasts, and you see that power come in.
Yeah, exactly. Or you give them an exclusive like grape juice diet, man, with high amounts of lemon. Like this kind of thing, lemon and grapes, you got the lymphatic busting nature of lemons, you got the astringent power of both, for that matter. They're both incredibly high. And the fact is that the understanding of energetics that you and I learn at Dr. Morse's school, that rings true. It's like again, oh, I'm now understanding a language I didn't know I already spoke, and that is the language of nature. But a glandular doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't be there in nature getting this glandular, and getting this gland and doing this, and it's like the whole eating the body, the bodily organs, and then there's the energetic component within that. Chinese medicine is on point with the energetic chakra points and energetic points in the human body. And then if you're going to take in that animal's consciousness as well through that, and you see the consciousness of the person change, the struggle. And I was like you, Russell. I was like, shit, I am missing a point here. I'm actually not doing what I need to do because Dr. Morse teaches this. But my gut, my intuition that I was overriding with, oh no, but he said it, opposed to actually no, everything else that I've learned was intuitive. I just knew. With something like a glandular, you would know. And sure, imagine if you were with a bunch of Native American people out in the middle of nowhere, and they harvest the animal. Like they've hunted an animal for the whole tribe, and there's this one bison to like 1,000 tribes people, and they were to eat the gland raw. I at least could get behind that to some degree. I could at least have that concept, that energy right now has gone
Mhm.
into this person from that animal. I could at least understand that. But with that, I just couldn't. And I know that there'll be people listening to this being, oh, I can breathe now because I really put some hard weight on myself, man, behind that. I did a lot of research into them. There's a lot of historical use of herbs, too much to even like look at. I make
Yeah.
my own herbs. I've been making herbs for like 2 years, like just formulate, just getting the wildcrafted herbs, finding out where to find them, wanting to make a herbal line here in Australia, actually, that's affordable because we get taxed so high for Dr.
Yeah.
Morse's herbs. But the thing is that I saw is there's very little on glandulars, but there's more conflict, there's more issues. But on an ethical, moral, and for me common sense level, to me herbs are common sense. Like you said before, you see your
For
case, you do the
sure.
iris report, you see the areas weak, you take the herbs that aren't supplements, guys, these are foods, bringing in strength back in to regenerate the issue, the weakness, that you won't need them anymore. And if you ever do in an acute stage, you have an accident, you have something happen, oh, you've got to take some of those herbs. Like animals do this. But the glandular thing, and I've just seen that not be, man, I've had clients with, I had a client just end of last year with 3 months to live prostate cancer. Then they gave him 1 month to live. And he's now still alive. He had brittle bones. They said it had metastasized into his bones. No glandulars were used. He was on a grape diet with 4 herbs because he was super poor. Helped him for free, like I do with a lot of people that can't, that have no money, need help. And this dude in 11 weeks, X-rays showed he had most of his bones regenerated. All he took was horsetail, a blood circulation herb, gotu kola or ginkgo, was I think it may have been two of them. He took eleuthero root to support endocrine glands as a whole, and then he took some juniper berries and parsley. And he pretty much just, I think there's maybe one or two other ones in there, but it was pretty much just that. And the horsetail was the main silica dense bone
Yeah.
connective one, but we had to support the main, like the diet hut. And just so you know, Russell, these were out of season imported, sprayed, and radiated American grapes, all the way from
Yeah.
the US to here, and that still healed him. And this
Amazing.
the incredible the power of nature, even when it's been messed with, what its ability is. And as you said, anyone can heal. The thing is, does the person have the patience and willingness to go in? And that's when what you said about getting away
Right.
from the mind, because I think with like Dr. Morse's teachings that a lot of others miss, is he also acknowledges when maybe the consciousness of the person isn't ready. And I've noticed that with some clients, man, I can just see that it's too much for them and they can only get so far. And being a practitioner, I imagine for you, you really want to see the person succeed. And you see there's just something that they just can't do it at that time for some reason. And Dr. Moore said to me personally, he said, "Mate, I had a client who had a tumor in her uterus, one of my first clients a few years ago, and he said the doctors already noted that all the other glands and organs around that area when they did the scans were in, they said, the best health they'd ever seen. And they couldn't understand how the cancer tumor hadn't spread, grown, made anything else worse, and everything else around it cleaned up. It just wasn't enough. She couldn't apply the diet well enough. It was too emotionally hard for her. She struggled to get away from the mind. She struggled to incorporate pure consciousness into her. It was too overwhelming. And that's when he said, we have to let go of that. We have to have detached compassion because you want everyone to succeed. You can see it's going to work. It can work. It will work. But there's the emotional consciousness element that maybe for that person, for whatever reason, that is like Dr. Morse's sister died from, I think, breast cancer. She had Dr. Morse as her brother and she couldn't do it. We
Yeah.
somehow think that I remember had a client saying to me, well, Dr. Morse's family would all be all about that. And I'm going, his sister died being under the treatment of cancer. And she
Yeah.
had Dr. Morse as her own brother going, hey, mate, no, don't do that. What are you doing? Look what I do with clients all the time.
Yeah.
But they couldn't do it. It just
Yeah.
shows there is an element there that to um to know that you can heal that and that those questions that those clients are asking you, Russell, I get the same ones. Oh yeah, I saw that person heal from that. I saw that person heal from that. That because we still have this idea that we are somehow so different and unique that that whole concept of we're all different. It's like we're the same
Yeah.
physical beings. We have different levels of we have a different soul of who we are, and our weaknesses and strengths are different. Besides that,
Yeah.
we're all human beings.
Yeah.
And
But
yeah,
but but my car takes petrol. All people are different. I have a blood type that makes me eat meat only. And it's like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, no horse eats anything other than leafy green, like grass and all
yeah,
that kind of stuff. What you said was very, very interesting though, and it kind of makes me think like that's where karma kind of comes in. That's where things that you can't control comes in. And like, obviously you can't make everyone do the diet, but like, I guess I was falling into treatment-based consciousness. And maybe that's what Dr. Morse was stuck in, a little bit with the glandulars trying to help people. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to do the diet so well. Let's just pick up your gland and you can do, a little bit of cooked, some fruits and that kind of thing. But really, if someone doesn't have the strength, then they're already going against nature. You have to have, if you can have a very weak body, but if you have a strong mind and you can do it, like you said, your client, do the
mm,
diet and just
mm,
do it. Get through it. Then you can get your body strong again. But
mm,
if you're weak-minded and I guess if I'm supporting that by just use glandulars, it'll help pick you up. You don't have to, go deep. Maybe that is not good for that client. Maybe that they need to gain that strength and
mm,
use the herbs, and the herbs work in the perfect way. They pick you up, but they don't artificially get you up there. And I've always felt a little bit weird about glandulars. And sometimes I'll
mhm,
have clients and they're like, oh, I'm eating a little bit of organ meats now. It's like, okay, I'm like, okay, I let it go. But in my mind, I'm like, that is the opposite of the thinking that you need to
yeah,
to truly reach health. Don't, don't reach into these other things. And so, yeah, I think that was super helpful for you to say, man. And I
no, I
really
appreciate it.
definitely
Yeah,
am gonna that's gonna influence how I do things. And I don't want to use glandulars. I'm not going to use them anymore unless I truly felt that it was a case in which I absolutely needed to.
yeah,
But yeah, just I was already seeing that kind of feedback from the universe. It's like,
yeah,
okay, if
same.
I put this person on herbs, it's like bing bang boom, they ordered the herbs get there, everything's good, they're doing the herbs, they're doing the diet. If I do glandulars, it's like things start popping up out of nowhere, things stop working, they have a family thing and then now they can't do the herbs. And just like I was like, whoa, that's weird. I've seen this pattern keep
Mm,
repeating itself with people who I was like, yeah, let's tack on a glandular. So I think like and I never overdid it. It was just like one bottle, but still, it kind of felt like very much treatment mentality
Mhm,
instead of get your health back. And it's, I'm just showing you the way. I'm not doing it for you.
mm,
You got to get your health back. Glandulars are a little
mm,
bit, I'm doing it for you. I'm just getting you a
mm,
little something that's
mm,
picking you up. No matter what you
mm,
do, it'll pick you right up. But really, I should just be showing the way and just saying, this is the way to do it. If you can do it, go on that path and you can heal from anything. But trying
mm.
to treat symptoms is not the holistic way to do it. So thank you for sharing that.
No,
That was amazing.
I appreciate that, Russell. Yeah, because and what it is it's showing the development of consciousness in the next generation. You know, that we're
Yeah.
both that as soon as you started using them, you started to notice all these things that were before aligned are starting to disalign. Like I've seen with clients that are struggling, I'll try to temporarily make their protocol a little more complex, do a little more fruit combinations, maybe add a little tiny bit of fatty fruit to support them. And then they got these more problems coming back. And then it's like that's not the way, man. Like mono eating is ultimately where it's at. And the hardest part is that emotional thing. But what it's like the thing of the forest is the night is darkest before the dawn. It's not going to get any darker. You're just putting off what ultimately has to happen. Like that has
Yeah.
to you have to go through that. And these people wanting, like even the glandulars, still a little bit of the quick fix thing. Is it's also the opposite thinking, as you said, but also it quickly does. But it's a stimulant. Like Dr. Morse is very
Hmm.
clear on that. These are high stimulants. Okay, well, if I want to, I'll be probably better off using like a some caffeine stimulant then, which is still not in the way anyway. So it's like, and what I see as well, if human beings have unknowingly but selfishly, unfortunately so, gotten themselves into weak states, I just see as a spiritual growing species, it's not right for us to then go, oh well, if there's now a gland that I can get from an animal that has had its life taken from them against its will, for me to get better, it's like, no, if the alternative is take that, or I need to do a 7-day water fast with lemon to get my kidneys popping and going, then shit, that's going to be hard as for me, but I got to do it because I'm not going to. That's what altruism is. People miss that the term altruistic. Altruism is true selflessness. It's that even at a slight detriment, even to a detriment to yourself, you'll still do it. And if that detriment is suffering, emotional suffering, and physical pain on some level, to move through something, then so be it. And that's why, like, I've never taken a glandular, but I did use them in the earlier days, man, because, but I felt exactly what you said. I was like, no, they got to use them, but there's that part of me, no, no, no. That consciousness is there telling you, no, that's not actually the way. And I think you look at every teacher in history, there has been an element of growth and expansion, not in a way of changing, because that's then people. I know there'll be people saying, oh well, then the fruit thing will change. No, these are fundamental laws. Glandulars aren't a fundamental law. It was ultimately looking at a system and utilizing things from that system. But why do we want to use things from a system that's literally harvesting child animals, a satanic torture industry. Like whether you like it or not, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've always thought like whenever I hear Dr. Morse say, New Zealand, man, they're New Zealand. Like over there, they're ethical. It's like,
No way,
I've
man.
always wanted to be
Oh,
like, how, it's just that simple vegan question. Like, how could it possibly be ethical to kill anything like that? And really, like, how, I mean, I guess you can talk about radioisotopes. That's what I always hear is like, well, the radioisotopes show that it's picking up the different cell. And I've never looked into that. I just know that that's the term that Dr. Morse uses is, well, they've tested the radioisotopes in glandulars. But if you're getting on a consciousness level, is that animal's adrenal gland really healthy? How could it be healthy if they're being slaughtered? How could that adrenal gland be in a healthy state? And like, yeah, it definitely doesn't make sense from a consciousness level.
no, and especially because even if it's to measure like isotopes, that's like one aspect of something. It's not addressing the holistic as
Yeah,
we're being
exactly.
holistic practitioners ultimately of a form of naturopathy that doesn't really exist anymore. And I get people occasionally on my courtesy calls going, "Oh, so where'd you study? Are you board certified? Blah blah blah." And I said, "Look, Dr. Morse has been offered to have his school board certified, but he'll have to change what he teaches because you have to
Yeah.
teach lies ultimately." And it's like
Yep.
people are waking up to the fact that a stethoscope and white lab coat don't mean anything. it's results and actually getting rid of a problem, not treating an issue. And so for that already is amazing. Seeing people they just don't care. And they go to their GP, they see it's a load of rubbish. They get their
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals, it's a load of rubbish. And what pushed me, bro, to really push for a healing center is I had a client that I knew in person. I'm still working with with the husband, and they got a son, but she passed away, man. She took her own life because she was on horrendous like benzos, opioids, and like some of the worst addictive. Dr. Morse got really upset. You know how easily he just cries? He read the case and he could see. And I said to her, mate, I've never seen someone who looked like they had their soul taken out of them. She was a completely fine lady before she went down the medical pharmaceutical road, and they were doing experimental electroshock therapy on the brain every week. They were putting her under with an anesthetic, even though her blood pressures were completely through the floor, which that alone could have easily killed her. And that was a wake up call to me, and also seeing clients being taken to hospital against their will. That shit, we need healing centers ASAP. Like we need
Yeah.
them ASAP. That's what we need, man, because this world like has negative forces that will convince you, bind you, pull you, and to the point where they'll lock you in wards in hospitals because they'll say you're insane, give you psychological medication because you think eating fruit is good for you.
My God, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's another world, bro. Like I don't know what it's like in the US, but in Australia, there's a law that if they can, because they focus on BMIs, and as you'd know, getting on fruits, you can drop weight quite quickly, especially if you're very weak. You're going to drop more quick. We've got more to lose, more waste to lose. And these people, man, their families, that guy actually who regenerated his bones, he was taken to hospital by his wife against his will. His family turned on him. They did an illegal brain scan in hospital to try and prove he was insane because he was saying, I'm eating grapes, I'm eating this way, I'm taking these herbs. Like, no, 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 you need to take our hormone medication for your prostate because you're going to die from this cancer, even though we've told you we can't do anything and that you're going to die from this cancer regardless, but you should still take it. That's how ridiculous it is, right? And they did the
Yeah.
scan. The scan came back negative, meaning he was fine. He's a very conscious, coherent person. If they have deemed him unfit, they could have used his low BMI. He's a big guy. He's like 6'6", and he's got very skinny. So bigger dude, you're going to look a lot leaner. And if they'd had the BMI plus that scan, they could have legally held him there and put him in a ward and put him on medication to the point where they could hold you down to administer medication to you because you are unfit to look after yourself. That's where we're at now, at least in Australia. And I've heard some
Yeah.
pretty scary stories that Dr. Morse has spoken about, like that girl, and I forget which state, injected with chemotherapy because she didn't want it.
Exactly.
Like it's this shit's happening, man, and that's why we we need heal. To use a Dr. Morse phrase, we need healing centers yesterday, like everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just was talking to my mom yesterday or, maybe the day before that, and I was like, if I had $1 billion, I would have an empire of healing centers. That's what I would do. And because that's war. That's war on this actual like vampiric evil, whatever word you want to put on that, satanic. Like, how could you possibly take a little girl and strap her down and administer chemo and think that you are in the right? And these people think that they're in the right. They really think that you're crazy for eating fruits. They think that you're completely insane and that you do. No, he actually does need to be medicated. He needs to be medicated because that really is justified in people's brains because of the brainwashing that they've been fed. And so it can only be explained through the negative forces that, you know, but then of course you've got the other side, which is more fun to talk about, which is like Sarah talking about how her son comes to her 2 years before and says
That's
you need to clean
yeah,
out your body because I'm an advanced soul and I'm coming in there, and so you better get ready. And
yeah.
that's the cool balance, is that there is equal and opposite sides, yin and yang. And so that the dark is so dark on this earth. It's so dark. The pedophiles running the world,
Mm.
all of this evil, millions and millions killed every year by the medical slaughterhouse, and yet the other side is true. And so we live in duality, and that's what's so crazy about it. So, I think healing centers, just screw them. Like if you're going to go down that path, you're going down that path. But look over at this path. It's much nicer. Sure, you're going to have to get some detox healing crisis symptoms, but is that better or worse than like being in a mental ward, locked up, and having some crazy mad scientist do experiments on you? Like it's just the two sides of it. And so I see it as it is a complete spiritual war. And the way to win is actually just through nonviolence, just by not letting it get to you. Cause it's so hard to not let it get to you. Like you're telling me this stuff. I'm I'm relatively new to this. I haven't gone to war like you have, where people are like medical doctors are in the mix. I'm just right now. I'm just helping people. I get good stories, happy stories. I haven't been doing this long enough to see like the nightmares where people get taken away from you, or like kids
Mm,
get taken away by CPS for having their parents put them on raw foods. Like
yeah.
I haven't run into any of those nightmare cases. So I know how angry it's gonna make me. And
Yeah.
I
But
think it's
as you
just about
said, like,
not letting it get to you.
but the good thing is having that calm and that resolve that you have now
Yeah.
is holding that even when shit hits the fan, so to speak. Because at the end of the day, as you said, there are negative forces that run deeper than you could imagine. But the opposite of that, the positive, does exist as well. And there's books like even Tao Te Ching has some
Mhm.
really good truths in there around that no storm will outlast the day. Like darkness, what is not the final way to be. There's good examples of the child having may not have the biggest muscles, but the grip is sure, the grip is steadfast, and that is what we must have. And to ultimately, as you said, yeah, not let it affect us. And one of the best ways is don't engage. Is
Yeah.
they run on the fuel of human engagement, and it's just like a fire. It's a behemoth. You can't fight it. It is not going to happen. Just don't engage. What you can do though is you can walk away, and that's what people got to realize is when they come to you or myself or Dr. Morse or anyone to get any sort of help with their lifestyle and health, is you got to really pick. Am I playing in the world of treating my problems anymore, or am I actually taking responsibility and educating myself to take my health back? I had a client just a month ago who's doing my 16-week coaching. At that point, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Never heard of Dr. Morse in her life. She straight away knew, I'm not doing this treatment. Looked up online, found some alternative things, found Dr. Morse, found me. Oh, he's in Australia. Cool. Called me, booked in, and she bought his book. I think she's doing level 1 at the school. She's read Grape Cure. You know what I mean? She's got a family supporting her. She's full self responsibility mode, and she is doing everything that she's like the best of us, and anyone that's in a situation of cancer diagnosis, just know that's a medical word slapped onto a symptom based on a concept of diseases that doesn't even exist. Theoretical nonsense. It's still non-provable. And we've now got this whole new virus thing coming out again. And what's amazing is that people are laughing at it. It's just laughing till the
Yes.
cows come. They're laughing so hard at them, like, "Well, this better come with a free cheeseburger. This,
Yeah.
safe and effective." People have woken up. This the silver lining is Rudolf Steiner predicted this. Native Americans predicted this. There was going to be a split of
Yeah.
ultimately the Christ path and the path of Lucifer, and that's like materialism, treating
Yeah.
problems, disease, sickness, and that split is so apparent right now. And as
Absolutely.
dark as it may be, it's not actually, it's losing, and it's losing very quickly. The truth is coming out so apparently now. People have seen through the veil, and when you see that your health is all you have, as you said, man, people are going to already, it's happening. People are like, crap, I may have a Bugatti, I may have a mansion, I may have whatever, but my health is shot. I have nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
um
These
yeah,
elites, yeah. Good luck. Good luck with your health if you are, some satanic pedophile drinking blood. Good luck with your health. You're going to be gone, and then, the strong, the actually strong are going to
yeah,
survive.
yeah,
That's who's going to survive this. And yeah, this hantavirus or whatever it is, it's so laughable. Like to everyone it's laughable. We know the playbook. We know what you're doing. Like as soon as I saw the news I saw some little thing and I was like, oh, I know what this is going to be. And the news is like cruise ship, ABC, blah, 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 all the major news. And I was like, oh, they're going to do another COVID, you know, just completely don't comply to that
Yeah.
whatsoever. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's the viruses are just proteins. This one's probably man-made. Who knows? Who knows the details of any of it? But you just got to know that it's BS and that you don't need to fear anything. No one needs to fear anything. You don't need to fear chemtrails, vaccines. You don't need to fear EMFs. You don't need to fear all these toxins that you can't control. You don't need to fear any of that. Get your body alkaline. Your body will detox all of it. You know, my martial arts teacher, Wing Chun, is all about universal rules. And so I
Mm.
see it apply everywhere in my life. So I love how when conflict comes, I can just treat it in the same way that I treat a punch coming at me, which is just, you know, take it off my center line. Don't let it land on me.
Hmm.
I don't have to use all this force and stop it and fight back because that doesn't work. If there's a giant boulder rolling down a hill at you, don't try and stop it. Just move and maybe redirect it a little bit. And you have to use so much less force. So, you know, he's got all these principles, but some of them are the way, which is yin and yang, cause and effect, and ergonomy. Ergonomy is basically like in our training, we don't hurt ourselves, right? We're not like boxing each other, punching each other in the face all the time. We are training in a way that doesn't hurt us. Ergonomy. So you can train every day for the rest of your life and it doesn't ruin your life.
Mm.
And yin and yang, of course, we have duality, cause and effect. Every cause has an equal and opposite reaction. That is just, you know, you reap what you sow, karma, whatever you call it, that principle. And then also conserve and control. Conserve your energy. Don't waste your energy if you don't need to waste it. Keep
Mm.
your energy and then
Mm.
control yourself.
Mm.
If you can control yourself, this is what we learned through martial arts. The better I can control myself, the better I can control the whole situation and deal with people who are attacking me. If I'm controlling myself in the face of a horrific medical institution that's trillions of dollars richer than I am, if I can just control myself, then I control the whole situation. And it doesn't matter how much force they give me, I can just redirect it off of myself. So
Mm.
that's something I wanted to share, is just that,
Wow.
you know, conserve your energy, control yourself, and then you're golden, because really you are this divine spark from an infinitely bright fire, and all of these little spots of darkness are nothing compared to you. No matter how
Mm.
big the shadow is, as soon as you turn on the light, it's gone.
Mm. I love it. Wow, dude. That was so on point because those that are stuck, if they once they start learning that and start applying like a martial art, because that analogy of like a boulder coming towards you, a punch coming towards you just step aside. Is it just shows you how much how much in control you actually are, but how they've got us thinking that you're not in control. They don't want you to be in control. You need to be dependent on us. So every which way you turn, is that I actually do have that ability. I have everything I need. I actually can learn how to actually protect myself by not engaging with something. People think it's always a level of engaging. It's like, what is there's that line in The Hobbit. It's when he gets the sword when Bilbo gets the sword, and he's like, I can't use the sword, and Gandalf was like, I hope you never have to. It's not about the wisdom is not about using the sword to take a life. It's knowing when not to. So again, it's often this inverse of what we think of, and that's why I love those movies, those stories of showing you like ultimately truths. It's they show you in what you watch. They put crap with real truths. They mix them all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As long as you mix enough truth with lies, it'll just make the lies more believable. And
Hmm.
that's why all my videos I post, everything I talk about, and I'll preface for this video, nothing we are talking about here is replacing medical advice. None of it's medical. I don't like, as Dr. Moore says, don't lower me to that. Like, I'm not even
Yeah.
going there. Nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
If you want to play medical, go there. Clients ask me about, oh, but I saw my thing in my insulin, this and that. It's cool. If you want to play that game, like, sure, I can see that they're low. This is what we can do. But if you want to play the whole game, if you can't get this back because you under the belief that some medical diagnosis equals this, if you want to play that game, then you can go down that road. But that's not what I'm doing. And they very quickly become silent because they know, oh crap, I now see what I'm doing. I've got self responsibility. I've got to do this. He's not just, I've had many clients say, whatever you say, man, whatever you say, Jake, whatever you say. Not
Right.
whatever I say.
Yep.
Not whatever I
Yep.
say. No.
Think for yourself, please. Yeah.
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 Nah, Russell, this has been absolutely incredible, man. I've really that this this last part of the conversation, I've really it just we opened some doors of some really important elements around, the glandulars, what you've said with the self responsibility through action and really non action is another element of that. Like, I'm not engaging. See ya. These are such fundamental lessons that we have to relearn, and I'm a true believer that, sort of echoing Rudolf Steiner on this, that we've almost got internal pillars of I see them as candles, and we have, against our own knowing, had these candles snuffed out. Those candles are still there, and these candles, like Dr. Morse, he's someone with a big he's got a big candle. Someone's going to interpret that differently, but you know what I mean. You've got a candle there, and he's just lighting the candles like I didn't teach you anything. I'm just turning the light back on. Here you go. Great. Now you all are waking up. Now you can go do that to someone else. He spread. He said to me after I did the I think he mentioned it too. He's like, "Welcome to the brotherhood," because it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood of lifting each other up. That's all we're doing here, and I love the way that you interweave them with such spiritual truth, man. Because I've realized this: people nowadays, they think what they want is what they need. And the amount of times I've seen people come across my content, come across your content, and they've just been like, "Well, I wasn't looking for this. I didn't want this, but damn, I needed that. Oh my God, now I'm doing this. Now I'm booking a consult. Now I'm buying fruits. Now I'm looking at everything differently or whatever." It just again is the world is in such need of this. And I guess what I want to end with here, bro, is um what what do you sort of see with the change of humanity in a positive way, and how you're contributing to that? And where do you sort of see? Do you have like a vision of where to go, or is it just I just want to help people? And I love what you said about having an empire of healing centers, because that would be like the coolest thing. Yeah, what's
Yeah.
in it for Russell coming up?
Definitely, definitely healing centers. 100% healing centers, but also martial arts. I'm going to teach Wing Chun. I love it. That is the duality of what I do. I learn how to defend myself, and I also learn how to heal people and heal myself. And so that is the duality there. So I will definitely have healing centers that also, like smoothie shop, juices, whatever, in some amazing tropical place. And then also martial arts classes every day. We're doing meditations. We're doing, physical exercise, light qigong type of stuff. I want to teach this type of qigong that I learned as well. And so that is what I see. I see someplace in who knows where there's great tropical fruits where people can actually come out to and live a true tropical frugivore life and get their health back. Because yeah, what you mentioned earlier made me think, if like fighting force, talking on this topic of fighting the force, don't fight the force. If you try to treat diseases, medical doctors are treating diseases their way. You're saying, "Oh, I'm treating diseases with natural remedies." You're just fighting the force, and good luck winning against that giant empire. But as soon as you say, "I'm not treating diseases, diseases don't exist, I'm addressing the root cause of people's health issues," then you've just diverted all of that force, and it'll never land on you. So I think that is my plan, is just to divert the force and use my knowledge. I know this truth, and I don't have to play their game. That's another thing. Don't play people's games. I'm not going to play your
Mm,
stupid medical game where diseases exist and things are coming from Timbuktu to attack me and cancers metastasize and spread like a roving monster. I'm not going to play that game. I'm going to play the simple truth game where we are frugivores, and when we eat fruits, good things happen. So that's the game that
mm.
I'm going to play. And I think that that's a game that, if you want to play that game, then come over to this side.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it because it is. It's reality. It's just a matter of engagement or non-engagement, and then engaging with something that is actually conducive of good health. And like we've said, and there's an overarching theme in our discussion here, that in a world that is trying to deceive you, there's nothing more relieving than when you get shown the truth of something. I've had clients and calls where they're in tears because of some diagnosis, and then they realize this actually ultimately has been a gift. It's showing them, damn, I've actually neglected my body, and it's like what Dr. Morse says: assume you've got a cancer cell. If you want to go down that road and use that phrase, assume it's a cancer cell. Then what are you going to do? Still going to do the same thing? And people go, what? Yeah, well, now do it. Now do it. Walk that path. Let go what you've leave what you don't need at the trailhead and walk down the trail. But what I see a lot of people do is they love the little feel good things that are all cafe stalls at the trailhead, all the other people gossiping. They want to hang around with that and not actually walk down the path. And if you're one of those people stuck there, is like, just got to say that nothing will change if you do that. If you do the same thing, like, you might not want their treatment, but you got to do something. You can't just wish away the problem. You can't just pray away the problem. You got to start incorporating these these truths from nature. And this isn't Russell saying this. This isn't me saying this. This isn't Doc. This is nature. This is nature saying, "Hey, I'm over here. You've been over there ignoring the laws. You can come back at any time. Welcome any time." And that's what people, once they see that, and that's why I have no fear. You have no fear. Dr. Morse has no fear, because ultimately we are, as you said, a divine spark of a massive flame, a massive fire. And that the moment, I love what you said, the moment you light your light, you become the light that you are. Darkness is gone. And man, I just thank you so much for your time, bro. This has been an incredible conversation. It's rare to have a conversation with someone with such conscious awareness, man. In all honesty.
100%, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. This was awesome. Happy to do it again in the future. I think it's great. I think it's powerful for two practitioners to talk about this kind of stuff.
Mm,
And we bounce ideas off of each other. We get better at what we're doing. And like you said earlier, like Dr. Morse, fantastic, great healer, but he's not going to be around forever. And he wants people to take this truth farther.
mm,
What would be the point if what
yeah,
he said was absolute truth and that was the best it could ever get? No,
mm,
things have to evolve. Things are always
mm,
evolving or else they die out. That's what
mm,
happens. So things have to evolve. And I think it's great. It was amazing to talk with you and learn about glandulars, and that totally changed my consciousness on that. And that
mm,
totally freed me, honestly. It was
yeah,
very freeing to hear that. And so I think we're just going to make so many leaps and bounds
mm,
in the future, figure out better ways to do things. Like, for me personally, Qigong is opening doors for me that it's like, okay, this could stimulate you in a way like a glandular, but it's not the same. It's coming from
mm,
energy. And
mhm,
so all sorts of things and great technology that's coming out. I think that's where we can avoid the pitfalls that something like a glandular has. So yeah,
mm,
my message to the world is that you can heal from anything, and I will continue to show that,
mm,
unabashedly as much as I can and speak
mm,
that, from the rafters. You can heal from anything, and all of the testimonies that I see that truly show that. I'm going to show the world and say it as best as I can so that most people will listen and finally get it through their heads. You can heal from anything.
mm. Beautiful, man. And I wanted to also say a massive thank you to you as well, with what you brought to the table around the martial arts and the perspective using martial arts as not only a way to look at how you use your physical body, but how the way you control and use your body is also indicative of your life, the relationships you lead, the health you have with the food you eat. Because if you just try to fight everything that comes your way, what are you're gonna burn out in futility. There's gonna be nothing left. You're gonna be exhausted. Um, and so you've really opened my eyes to that as well, bro. So I'm so glad that we both gleaned some new perspectives. So, man, absolute so much gratitude um for this video. And I wanted to preface anyone that doesn't know, the first time I found out about Russell is I got really triggered because he was sharing testimonials of mine, which is actually the best thing we need. And I initially got really hurt. And interestingly, is I that hurt was I actually later looked, and we've become really close. I really wanted to do videos with you, and I love sharing and seeing what you do, and because that's what it's about. And I had to ask myself, Jake, why does that hurt you? Is you feel for some reason like you've been robbed, and that isn't hasn't happened. There's a wound there that's been triggered, and I had to look at that. So like I thank you, man. You know what I mean? Like I actually, because if we feel like we are wounded, by something ultimately good that's happening. What does that say about what's come up in us?
Thank you for saying that, man. I mean, that's awesome. We all like have these things that just light us up. You know,
Mm,
that's the way we talk about it in Qigong. It's like it's lighting you up. And who knows the thing that originally caused that feeling that is now coming up. It happens to me, it happens to everyone. And like,
mm,
I'm just, super grateful that you like reflected on that and felt a different way and reached out and were so kind and had me on. And I think, this is the start of a great friendship. And I think
yeah.
it's just awesome. And any time that I have where I can realize that something that I thought was bad and reacted negatively to actually can be a good thing. I think that's like, I'm
Mm,
so grateful when I'm able to do that. So
mm.
yeah, man, this was an awesome conversation. I'm happy to do it again. And thank you so much for having me on.
Well, anyone still listening, we haven't ended the conversation yet. We'll go into, you've seen the stuff with the Epstein, you've seen stuff with
Mhm.
the way the planet is. These people doing objective experiments with the Earth and being like, "Well, look, looks like it's a plane." Or you look at even Tesla, and
Hmm.
Tesla's like, "Well, I don't
Hmm.
know if we live on a globe, man, but I think I'd call it a realm," is what he actually said.
It's funny you bring that up because you just rejuvenated my whole beingness with that thing because I feel like that's another way that Dr. Morse has, his own things that he's been indoctrinated to, which is, we're just on a planet spinning around, and it's like, well, are we? I don't
Yeah,
know. I've done quite a
I
few
love
thousand
that.
hours of research into
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and that's originally what I started out doing, was actually posting about flat earth and about the soul trap. Have you ever looked into that?
No, but now that you come to mention it, bro, were you posting the stuff
Yeah.
before the iridology?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think I saw your page a while ago, man, with something like that because I recognized your face when I saw it with the
TikTok I
eyes.
was on. Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was on TikTok talking about like this out of body experience where this person experienced some real negative stuff, like basically seeing a soul trap type of thing going on Earth, which now I like reading Paul Twitchell's works totally expanded my understanding of
I know,
that.
right?
And have you seen what's it called? It's Inner Peace with Dr. Reese, and he had Dr. Morse on. Have you seen that episode?
No. It's
It
on
was really good.
Dr. Morse did that video. I haven't been a while since I've listened to consistent videos. Was it one of his
It
recent
just
ones?
It was an interview, I think from a few years ago, but Inner Peace with Dr. Reese. And he goes really in depth into Paul Twitchell's works, and it was just more of a spiritual conversation, which was very refreshing
Amazing.
because,
Yeah.
like they were saying, health is so simple and the real cool stuff is the spiritual stuff. But
Mm,
yeah, like I had this for a year. I was just researching into this kind of very left brain logical understanding of like, why is there so much suffering on Earth? And maybe it's that we're in this simulation, that our energy is being stolen by these spiritual beings called archons that the Gnostics talked about, and it's all going to feed them. And then like understanding Paul Twitchell's works, it's like, this I think it was Brahma or something, like there's a god of this level, and the god of this level thinks he's the only god. And
mm,
so you eventually run into like really negative things when you have a something that's not the absolute all of it all saying, no, I'm everything, I'm the one true creator. And it can create that kind of trapping thing. But I've come to understand like there is no soul trap. It's much different than that. But back to the whole flat Earth thing, which
mm.
I'm so interested in, and I always keep quiet about these things, at least
Same.
when I'm talking to a new person, because it's
Same.
like, what is this? And like the way you said it, just you hit all the little buttons in my head that flipped, and you were like people talking about a plane and Tesla, and it's like I know what this guy's talking about for
Yeah.
sure, which is flat earth. And I love, being able to talk about like the real truths of things that are
Mm,
offensive to people, because that's pungent truth. And that is amazing because like I found Eric Dubay. I watched I really got into all the health stuff because of flat Earth. Eric Dubay is the guy who came out with 200 proofs the Earth is not a spinning ball. He's like really the guy who put it out into consciousness. In 2014, there was like 600 search results, and then in 2017, there were like 1 million search results for flat Earth. So, and that corresponded with his books coming out, and his, he pushed it everywhere all the time. And so I watched all of his videos, thousands of hours, and he made a video about Wing Chun. That was where that
Well,
was where I was introduced to Wing Chun.
huh,
And he made the vegan documentaries that introduced me into health.
no way.
And yeah. So all of it kind of connected in a
Sweet.
really, really cool way. So I definitely
Synchronicity,
want to
man.
meet that dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shake his
Wow.
hand. But yeah, like the flat earth truth is something that is just so freeing because it frees you from this. And you said something earlier. You said spinning around on a ball, and I was like, is he saying what I think he's saying? These people think that they're just spinning around in these, and it's true. You don't have a good worldview if you think you're just
No.
spinning in some corner of a cold universe. Really, we don't know what the hell is going on. We're on this material plane, and yeah, there's things happening all around us, and sure, there's maybe spiritual beings that are on a different frequency
Hmm.
up in the heavens above, but I don't know that. What I know is that it's observably a stationary plane, very, very obviously, and so it does definitely allow for a creator instead of this materialistic, atheistic idea of gravity bringing planets together, smashing each other for a long time until eventually it all randomly spit us out. And it doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense that we descended from higher vibrations into dense physical matter, and that this is a created place. Obviously, it's a created place, but why would it be created in that stupid science thing? So, you were talking earlier about science. It's like, yeah, screw science. Science is stupid
Yeah.
in all ways. Whether
Yes.
you look at like even like law, like it's amazing how they just twist words, and they do it in
Yeah.
the medical industry. They just twist words and they make their reality the only reality that you can speak about. But the truth is so much more expansive than that. It really
Hmm.
is.
Yeah. I love what you said because there's a few books around. Well, for one, my mum studied I'm originally from New Zealand back in the day, and my mum was studying law there, and uh, I think in journalism, and she's like, "Why can't we just word it this way?" And they said, "Because if you word it that way, there'll be no job for you." And it's like when I have clients come in, they go, "Oh, what am I going to get from coaching outside of a consultation?" And I'm like, "Accountability and and a friend to guide you." Oh, well, I'm like, "That's what you're paying for." Is like because there is no, we only get the truth now if you pay me X amount of dollars. It's like this is I'm showing you the truth. You do with it what you will. If you want help guiding there, happy to be a way shower personally for you. If not, all good. You know, and people have this mindset because of the world we live in that like it's not that simple, or it's not that it's the intellectual mind does not entertain because of its simplicity. They need complexity. The same way that you need these it's like I remember Alan Watts put it very simply. He said, when you look at in a Zen view, which is like a spiritual objective view, at a bee and a flower, is you'll see that flowers won't arise where there aren't bees, and bees won't arise where there aren't flowers. And there's a mutual arising, the yin and yang, the duality of nature. We arise for one another. A tree is only alive because of us that breathe what the tree produces, and what we exhale goes back to the tree. And people go, "Oh, that's too simplistic. It's because of this and this atom and this, blah, 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 blah." And I just turn off, man, because I just don't care. Because it actually
Mm.
takes away the magic from nature. It takes away, like being a kid, trying to intellectually explain something to a child. They're going to be so bored out of their mind. They're going to be like, "Get out of here, man. I'm going to play in the mud. I'm going to go speak
Yeah,
to
and they're
butterflies."
right.
And they're right. Exactly. And you know what's interesting is um, that there's a series of books, and it's funny how the synchronicity of what connects is I discovered this author called Dr. Raymond Bernard, and he did the Hollow Earth book. He did the book
He
on
did.
the Essenes. Yeah, he's done one on the Hollow
Wow.
Earth, and I've listened to a bunch of them on Audible. And there's another book called The Smoky God, which was this a true
I
yeah,
read that one.
exactly. And they sailed and they found that I think that the idea is that the planned net, the realm we were in is a donut. But I as a kid, man, I used to have dreams that it was more like we were given a sandbox and there's so much more beyond it, that like it just could be infinite of like creation, that creation is infinite,
Mhm.
and that we're here in certain parts and we're being controlled in one area. And when you read these books and you even see factual, Admiral Byrd from from the Air Force, he had actual flight notes, right? And I can tell Russell knows exactly what I'm talking about. Those that don't know, he flew to, I believe it was the Antarctica or South Pole. Do you know it was the North or the South? It
It
was
was Antarctica. It was
and
south.
that's right, the South, yeah. And he documented just objectively that it went from ice and freezing cold to greenery, sunshine, and warmth. And he went, and as his plane was taken over by these other things flying around that took over his ship, he couldn't use his instruments. He later was put in a mental ward, I believe. He was discharged. He was a very respected general in his field. And that's not an isolated case. And then Dr. Emmett Bernard covers this in his Hollow Earth book, all the different
I
evidence.
need to read that.
Yeah, there's a few versions, but there's one with blue cover. It's pretty amazing. I think I listened to that guy Eric Dubay on the 200 proofs. He's on YouTube, right? It's got the 200 proofs,
Mhm.
really long video. Yeah, I listened to
Yeah.
that around the same time. And those that are listening, and I know this and watching, they're going to be like, "Oh, these two, wow, it's nonsense." I go, "Look at this.
Now they've gone off the deep end.
Look at what happened when you were first introduced to fruitarianism or veganism. Is there would have been a part of you. I mocked a vegan in my high school. I bullied her, frankly. I actually was a psychological bully at that time. It was pretty mean. She couldn't, because she was a smaller speaking person. I could just railroad her with my eccentricities. So I just pretty much crushed her ability to speak because I couldn't hear the fact that she was talking about a higher way of being. So we got to apply that we once were asleep to a truth. Now it's time to wake up to all truths. And what Russell has spoken on here, what I've spoken a little bit here around these things, is ultimately there are other layers to truth, and that you begin to see things more clearly. There have been experiments done on the planet where they've objectively found that based on the mathematics that they tell us, they should perceive curves with a laser beam, and they don't. They just continually go. How is that? When these are people objectively trying to prove the curvature, and they disprove. There's obviously that documentary on Netflix, but that was a selected documentary trying to make flat earthers seem like quacks, because you can do that very easily with information. So people are going to use that. I used to use that as a justification. Oh, look at the Beyond the Curve documentary. They shoot themselves in the foot. Blah blah blah. Yeah, but the way that documentary is constructed is to make mockery. The same way Hollywood makes mockery of truths. They use comedy and things that are truthful to mock something that is real, to make it to make it unbelievable. You can't. It's always there, and it becomes clearer and clearer that that is what's taking place. But what I loved with Bernard's work is not only did he show that Jesus was part of these Essenes, the Essene group, which was raw foodists, herbal healers. I believe even Essene is ancient Aramaic or some ancient Hebrew, which literally means herbal healer. Don't quote me on that. But I believe that's what it's connected to, which was connected with Pythagoras. He was a raw foodist, fruitarian thinker. Also came to my knowledge recently, Russell, I don't know if you're aware, but the term vegetarianism up until I believe it was around the mid 1800s or 1700s used to mean Pythagoreanism, which was his way of eating. They were followers of Pythagoras. He wasn't
Wow.
vegetarian in the sense that people think. He was a raw foodist. He was eating
Yeah.
fruits. There were islands in Greece where they ate nothing but oranges and figs, and they were documented to live hundreds of years old, like hundreds of years of age, you know? And this is not
Yeah.
uncommon in biblical scripture. There's people living like Josiah and all these different stories of people living to great lengths. They mixed the truth with lies. And what I love with the connection with the way the world is, the planet, if people want to call it a globe, feel free, but it's like that really doesn't seem like it's the case. Um,
Mhm.
is this connection with another more intelligent species in Bernard's book, and even in the Smoky God, they meet these bigger people. What I was saying is uh, we used to have New York Times used to put early last century. They used to put all these different cases of giant bodies found all over the place, and now we see it as a myth. And they were those papers are still digitally recorded in archives. You can find them. There's I think Universe Inside Your YouTube channel. I first discovered sharing this about these giant humans, and then you look at the people in Dr. Bernard's work documented based on these sailors and voyagers and expedition goers that found these big people living on, and they even in the Smoky God, these massive fruits. And you see in this other book
Massive
I read,
fruits.
yeah, I read a book, The Coming Race, which had to be published as a fiction.
Read that
Yeah,
one as well.
man,
Yeah.
yeah, like man, the vril, I think they call it vril, the energy that they can harness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just man, there's so much to this. I'd love you to touch more on that. I'm sure you've researched more, but I've read a few of those books, and it's just blown my mind, man. Because without me intellectualizing with it, I could just feel it like hit something where you go, well, of
Yeah.
course, they're living on raw food. They're living in accordance with nature. They're not warring upon one another. And there's just so much to it. So I encourage people to. I've even done a talk recommending some of these books actually. So, yeah, please expound on that in any way you see fit.
Yeah, well, one thing is just this idea of yin and yang, and the yin and yang in the sky above us is the sun and moon. They are equal and opposite divine counterparts. What
Wow.
we've been sold is a lie by these people who hate women, who don't allow women in their clubs. The Freemasons do not allow women in their clubs, and they are very against women voting any rights, and they have created this lie in which instead of these equal and opposite divine counterparts, we're actually dealing with a sun that's 400 times bigger and 400 times farther away and just happens to look the same size as the moon. Even though we can look in the sky and see both of them as the same size, we are sold this lie that they are totally different sizes, that the moon is just some little rock that's attached to planet Earth, and that the sun is our life giver. That's the only reason why we're in the habitable part of the universe and able to live our lives, is because of the sun. So it's this very patriarchal idea that has destroyed femininity. And so we are subconsciously
Mm,
dealing with a worldview in which we are placed in a far corner of a vast and cold universe that was created from nothing, and that we are just here as evolved monkeys with no purpose. And people don't even realize they're monkeys. They're trying to eat like cats, but we're taught that we're evolved monkeys that are here to just, enjoy the physical pleasures of life, sex, fame, money, power, all of these things. Really, we have this spiritual God force that has been flowing through us. And yeah, like you said, there's the 256-year-old Chinese man. There's all of these stories of 100-year-old people. There's like in Malta, giants underneath Malta. There's all of these giant stories, giants in all of the Native American stories. Lovelock Cave in Nevada. There's red-haired giants. These stories are everywhere. And the Smithsonian has thrown away, there are Smithsonian workers who have come out as whistleblowers. We threw away giant bones into the ocean, and they have miles and miles of hidden things under the Smithsonian, under the Vatican. All of these truths are being kept hidden from us. And I'm past the point of trying to really rationalize and explain these things to people. I know them to be true in my own mind because I've spent thousands of hours researching them. So
mm,
if you know, you know. If you think this sounds like crazy nonsense, then that's fine. That's your opinion. We can keep it to the health stuff, but I'm gonna speak the truth when I'm given the opportunity to speak the truth with another like-minded person who has found this. I
mm,
know there are so many people who are listening who just lit up because we started talking about this,
mm.
because it's the secret that's so awesome and fun to talk about,
Yeah.
and you feel like you can't talk about it. You self-censor, but these truths, I feel like they hit the hardest with people, and people are definitely waking up. If you didn't wake up from COVID and now the hantavirus, whatever they're gonna pull in the next few years, central bank digital currencies, all of these, crazy things that are coming, 15-minute cities, this AI technological hellscape that they're trying to build, if you don't wake up to the truth that you are a spiritual being having a physical experience and that we need to be aligned with nature in these kind of solar punk, earth home type of places where we have gardens growing abundant fruits, and it's a literal paradise on earth. If you would rather go join their scientific technological hellscape, that's up to you, man. But I'm inviting you to come to the simplistic side where we understand yin and yang, the sun and moon, like everything feels flat. You don't feel like you're spinning a million miles an hour. You don't feel like you're orbiting, rotating and moving through the universe and the whole solar system moving. That's 4 different motions, 500 million miles an hour. And yet you're sitting here, you're able to meditate on top of a mountain in complete stillness. Feel that complete stillness. That stillness is real. It is truth. It's right there in front of your face. Look out in front of you. I remember when I first came to this flat earth truth, it was because a Christian friend told me about it, and I'm not the type of person who can just laugh in someone's face. So he gave me an 800 page book, and I thought, okay, I'll read this book and I will learn how to systematically destroy this flat earth argument so completely that there will be no flat earthers left unless they're complete idiots. And so I was reading that book on an airplane, and I was looking out and I was reading and I was looking out and I was reading, and every single thing that I was like, oh, but there's a contradiction there. And then I would read on and it would completely, rebut my contradiction that I thought I had
Mm,
found
mm,
every time. And my brain just exploded there because I was like, why are we 35,000 feet up in the air, but the horizon is at eye level? On a ball,
mm,
the horizon has to sink down beneath you. Where you can say light refraction, but then that argument is immediately countered. So
mm,
it's amazing. If you look at lighthouses can be seen way farther than humanly possible on a globular earth, on a globe. You should not be able to see lighthouses 200 miles away. There should be thousands of feet of curvature in the way. There are pictures taken of like Philadelphia skyline and New York skyline in one image, and there should be like 1,000 miles of curvature. So
mm.
it's completely obvious, and people definitely will either be able to hear this or they won't be able to hear it, and that's fine. I don't really care, and I love talking about it. So thank you for bringing it up.
No, man, I love it. Yeah, because it's funny, and I love the fact that you went into it with that Christian friend of yours going, "Yeah, man, I'll read this 800-page book so I can literally intellectually kick your ass because you're full of nonsense." And then you were just humbled by what you read. You're like, "Well, that's contradictory." Next page. Oh, well, that's okay, weird. Okay, true. Next one. And because it's a, what is it? It's a sign of a great mind to be able to entertain an idea without believing in it. And that's what you showed, and is that you're willing to entertain something you would like in utter disbelief. You're like, there's absolutely no way. And that is the only way humanity can grow. I got family members saying, "Oh, Jake, that's so unscientific." And I go, all right, cool. Well, science should be, well, Latin really it means, right, like seeking for truth, right? So are we doing that anymore with the science that you say we should be looking at? No, they're not. So what I'm actually doing is true science. I'm seeing objective science. I'm seeing what is happening, and you just look, you align yourself with nature. Next thing, this problem has gone away. People like us, man, what's going to transform and really help for people to, I don't know, maybe that are coming from more intellectualism is when we have books on client testimonials. Like that's what I want it. Part of what I want to be doing is over these years putting a decade of testimonials into a book and just going, no scientific or Western claims here, just showing what happens when you come over
Just
to
look.
fruit and herb land. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? And then people hopefully by then would have at least woken up to the intellectual nonsense that everything runs on. And that that when you see that the more you research into these people that, Admiral Byrd, for example, he would have shared his findings with complete self-abandonment, in the sense of he put his own career to the side, going, wow, this is profound, guys. Like, look what I found. And they just lock him up, and it's just, oh, you're now a mental ward, like Smokey God had to be published as a fiction. And I believe at the beginning, it's the person that was told the story, the guy, the son left after the voyage. He said, I'm not going back into another, what did he spend? At least 2 decades in prison or in a mental asylum. And he's like, I'm not sharing this again while I'm alive. I'm not going back to live my life there. So when I die, that's when I'll share the story because they'll stop at nothing. You know, you see Christspiracy. I'm yet to do a video with Cameron Waters, who made that documentary. He's big fan of Dr. Morse. Did a fast recently.
Really?
Lived
Wow.
on oranges in California. He fully gets the fruitarian the view, which is great. And but he was coming up against the church, and the church. Like what did one of the guys say? There, he said they'll stop at nothing to stop what you're doing, man. The same way you see all these people now saying they're Christians, but they're eating the flesh of animals, and they are stimulating themselves, and that they go to church on Sunday and they're good people, and it's like that talk is cheap. You know, the real truth takes action and takes alignment, and that's not true alignment. And someone like Admiral Byrd was aligning himself with the truth he saw, and he lost essentially sanity and freedom for that. And that should really tell those that are skeptical about this, should really tell you something about the world we live in, that it's not just a matter of this flat earth thing being something to laugh at or scoff at. Is that there's actually something to this? Sure, you can more than something to it. You know, you can. When I first ridiculed it, man, I was like, oh well, they're just people that need to find their people. And because they were kind of lost and confused, they gravitated towards that. It's easy to say that when you're someone on the
For
outside.
sure.
But once you start researching and reading these books and listening, like I listened to, I think I was Eric Dubé's video. And it just, every single one was just because all my, knowledge from school, and I had a really good science and chemistry teacher, and I sucked at chemistry. Now I had to really get good with it with Dr. Morse's school, but um, and anatomy and physiology, like it becomes apparent how simple the body actually is. The hormones are
Yeah.
produced as every area of function. It's not that hard. It takes a little bit to get a head around, but after that, it becomes pretty intuitive. And it's one of those things that it's easy for people that don't know to say, but we have no right to ultimately pass a judgment onto something that we know nothing about when all we have is indoctrination. And you were at least, and that's what I really hope people glean from what I'm trying to articulate here, is that Russell had the ability to entertain an idea without believing in it. You gave that guy the time of day, and it transformed you, which ultimately, as you said, that is where you began, and that found you to Dr. Morse, and you now helping people with their health. It's so interesting seeing the pathway, because my pathway was first veganism ethics, and then I got really unwell eating cooked vegan food, and then I had teeth decaying from the inside. I was also, when I was a baby, man, my appendix ruptured when I was 15 months old. No appendix, that should have killed me. They found like lead and all this crap in my hair. I was in a coma for 8 days. When I was a week after I was born, no idea why that happened. They tested on me as a baby. They did some seriously painful procedures against my mother's knowledge. A nurse tipped mum off, saying like they're testing on your child. Really messed up stuff. So like I have
Holy
every right
crap.
to be very skeptical at medical, because they literally had given up on me and wanted to just test on me because I was a lost cause. And it was because of a homeopathic remedy that got me out of that coma. It wasn't medical. And my uncle was with my mum, and he's full medical oriented. Like he's like, if you get a sniffly nose, you should get the flu shot, that kind of dude. Maybe not
Mm.
anymore because of what he's seen, but that would have been the other side of the family. And there's a homeopathic remedy called carbo veg, and in homeopathy, it's known as the corpse reviver. And Dr. Morse,
Whoa.
he distills homeopathy in a very. I was really disappointed in his book. He has less than half a page on
Mm.
homeopathy, and my mum's a big like into self-taught and homeopathy. And it's not like a vaccine, like he says, or like other people say. It's actually the energetic principle in the pill. It's actually stored energy they use. I forget the type of energy it's called. I think it's called circation or some. I've got that wrong, but there's a lot of storing of energy. So, like what you said with martial arts, there's using the energy within you, and ultimately, what homeopathy is doing. I'm going to give a very like caveman way of describing this, but really, it's a storing of energy inside a sugar capsule ultimately. And carbo veg, I don't know what was in it, but I was on a life support machine going blue, and mum just was like, "Shit, let's try it." see what happens. And literally that moment, my eyes opened up, the blue drained away. My uncle was there as a witness, and he couldn't deny what he saw. The same way my grandma recently was in hospital. I had her on herbs that I had made, not even Dr. Morse's ones, the ones I had made with wildcrafted bought herbs that I got, adrenal and kidney, and my uncle literally said, out of process of elimination, I could see that the medications were making her worse. The moment we stopped taking the medications and you started feeding her grape juice and these herbs, she got up and was walking around and could get herself to the bathroom by herself. It's like process of elimination. It's like I don't know, but must be something to this. And it's like, yeah, there is actually, mate. There is actually something to it.
Yeah, Occam's
Um,
razor. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And there's just so many hints that there's a truth in plain sight. And the reason why I tell you those stories is it's showing again that there are truths in plain sight outside of the food we eat that is always there, that Russell has researched. He's had thousands of hours into this. And it's an exciting thing because it makes me wonder as well, Russell, like, who's living there? What's going on over there? Are they looking in and going, what are these morons doing? These poor buggers are like in this like little sandbox being controlled and tested on and experimented on and all of this. I can only imagine if I was there, I'd be like, whoa. And I would say they're actually here, man. I reckon that's what that that better judgment that comes in, that wisdom. It could be like the collective consciousness of a more advanced race of people that are coming in and saying, "Hey, we've shown you the truth in your dreams. We've shown it to you here through this wisdom coming in." And I've no doubt that that's happened, and that fruit is also a
absolutely.
transporter of that.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And you can look at the facts. I mean, back to Admiral Byrd, this guy's the most decorated U.S. Army general of all time on national TV, saying
Thank you.
to
Yeah.
you young explorers, there is a land the size of North America full of vast, abundant resources for you to all explore. And then the guy ends up getting, killed and just destroyed. But yeah, no, if you look at like just go on Google Maps and type in Rothschild Island, and it's in Antarctica, and it's an island just called Rothschild Island, and you can go. I forget what the website is, but you can see like shipment boats going out all around the world, and you see these ones going to Rothschild Island, and you see them like not coming back, and like they're still like there's different entry points where these boats keep going and they don't come back. And so we are clearly being held here as just fuel for their, sick thing that they're doing, where they have all this control over people. They have all the money in the world. They don't get off on money anymore. They want control. And what they have is a total Truman Show level of control on most people. And so just by eating fruit, you're already doing a major thing to break away from that. And
Mm,
they've strategically gotten a lot of people who know these truths to then go down the primal carnivore route. And that is not the route that you should go on. You should go on this route because this route opens you up to everything. And what you said there is actually a great point. The collective consciousness, the 100 monkey experiment, we're getting those collective consciousness things from, what I fully, everything that has led me to believe that there are intelligent groups of beings, whatever they look like. They're probably giant with giant fruits outside of the walls, and there's something out there that is a much more beautiful paradisical world, and somehow humans are inside of this sort of experiment, and
mm,
we are definitely breaking out, and the tides are swinging. You can actually speak the truth, and it's not so easy to shut us all up now. It's the ants versus the grasshoppers, and
mm,
and they can't stop all of us. They
mm.
really can't.
No, and that's just, I think that's the silver lining of the internet, man, and even like different technologies coming out is you can see where AI is robbing people's own like intelligence. Like people are getting AI to write things for them and do all this, and it's like, well, then you'll forget even how to use the English language. But you can see where it can be used positively. There was someone reached out to me wanting to do like it's an app to do AI iris readings, and I'm like, so it's going to
Yeah,
replace an
same here.
iridologist. And and honestly, man, like I just, this is an insult. Like you're calling yourself someone working with healing people, helping people heal, and you are wanting an app to do the work that you would otherwise do, and then you charge them a subscription fee. Like, do you not see that you're literally killing yourself. It's like anti-human technology. Like that's really what it is. Like if you're trying to get people that have integrity to come in, like people don't want. It's like them wanting to put robots in schools. Kids, because there's not enough teachers, or there's not enough teacher rates. They don't want that. Kids want you want a real person to speak to. People want to listen to real people. They don't want to talk to a robot that's been implanted with the English language or any language. And the sad reality is that's another force coming towards us. The whole technological renaissance, you could call it, this terrible. I wouldn't even call it renaissance is the wrong word, but the technological demise of humanity. Uh, and I see people now using AI so aggressively on things to, I heard from this one dude, he said, it's so good because it means you have more time to do the things you love. And I was thinking to myself, so that implies that if you're helping people, you don't love doing an iris report for someone, you don't love consulting with someone, you don't love helping someone, which means that that was never genuine in the first place. So unless it means that it's like something you genuinely hate, so you have more time to build something you love, then I could at least understand that. But when it's already seen someone that does something that really should love, and they're making recipes or whatever it is, it's a sellout mentality in my view, man, and it's just like I'm no part of it. So it's that thing of people got to be uh, like back to strengthening yourself up internally. Is once you become internally strong, these things you can see them for what they are, and as you said, they like bullets coming and you're just doing this. You're just dodging. You're like a Jedi. You're just like, yeah, no, no, thanks, mate. No, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, no, 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 no. And that's what it turns into. And that's what people got. Dr. Morse phrase: just strengthen up, man up, and woman up.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely like, I felt the same way because an AI can't do an iridologist's job because every human being is different. Every eye
Yeah,
is different, as you know. Like
yeah.
the pancreas can be in a little bit different
The
spot.
spot
You
exactly. Can't
can
do
never
layers.
have that.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, you can never have that through some AI. So, yeah, I'm totally with you. It's going to be the humans and the people who are going towards this non-human, like my mom. She works with some of these thought leaders basically, and she writes books for them. She's a ghostwriter, and
Oh
so
wow,
she's
my
gotten
partner's
some
a
of these
ghostwriter.
trans nice.
Mm.
She's gotten some of these transhumanists,
Mm.
and they literally think that they can merge with machines, and it's so idiotic because, like, bro, just eat fruits if you want to live for a long time,
True,
and
man.
or like these spiritual beings, like in that inner peace with Dr. Reese, they were talking, Dr. Morse and this guy, very smart. One quote that he had was, uh, "Let go or get dragged," and I love that. I had never heard that before, and
Oh,
that's
true.
powerful. And they were talking about like all of these Eckankar, masters, like, you know, Jalaluddin Rumi and his master Shabbos Tabriz.
Yeah.
And like these guys are still around. And they're still around not because they merged with some stupid robot, but because they became consciousness itself. And there's so much to explore, not only in this world but also in other worlds, and through consciousness. And that is the true frontier that we can go and be pirates out on. We can go and, like, have that freedom and be out on the open seas of consciousness.
Mm.
That's always available. And if we let ourselves be put into these tiny little boxes by science, it's just an insult to the spirit of humanity.
Yeah. Man, I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. I just saw the time though, bro. I've got to wrap it up.
No
I've got
worries.
a call, but this has been an absolutely amazing conversation. I really got to listen to that episode with Dr. Reese. That was a Dr. Morse episode, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is so true. Let go or get dragged. So yeah, bro, I'll put all your details in the description as well. And for your Instagram and your school, you got a cool school community that you've started. That looks amazing. I need to look into school as well. It looks like a cool place to build communities as well. Because in a world where we're all separated, the next best thing is an online space, online community where people cannot feel alone. So yeah, bro, this will actually be the ending, guys. The middle one wasn't the ending, but you stuck out for another cool conversation. And Russell, man, absolute pleasure having you on, man. Absolute treat.
Thank you so much, man. This was awesome. I'm glad we went extra and
Me too.
got into the really fun stuff. I haven't talked about any of that stuff in quite a while, or even thought about it. It's just been health, health, health. But it's so fun to talk about the other stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on, man. This was awesome, and let's do more expanded talks in the future.
Absolutely. All right. With those listening, thanks for listening, guys. And you're all awesome. Stay on the fruits. Take herbs if you need to. Reach out to myself or Russell if you need anything. We're here to help people, and that's what it's about. So you guys can then help others, and that's literally what we should be doing as people. So, lots of love to you all. Lots of love, Russell, and talk to you soon.
Much love.